Chapter 1404. The Power of the Realm. Yin Sheng's heart shook when she heard this. The reason why the Phantasm Ghost King was able to stand on equal footing with Ming Ri in the underworld and enjoy godlike treatment was because he had comprehended a special ability called the Realm. The so-called Realm was when he used his battle chi to the extreme and formed a protective layer around him that was difficult to break through. As long as he was within the protection of the Realm, no magic, battle skills, or even sovereign god-level divine skills could harm him. It could be said that under the protection of the Realm, Dugu Xiao was invincible. Yin Sheng's body stiffened as she felt the evil aura emanating from Dugu Xiao, who was close by. The black Qilin warriors not far away acted as if they didn't hear anything. Dugu Xiao's realm had reached the point where he could freely control it. As long as he wanted to, he could do anything to anyone within the range of his realm. He could even crush them instantly. Yin Sheng's expression changed. Speaking of which, I have to thank Yi Baiming for all of this. This power originally belonged to him. He was the one who gave up this power. Yin Sheng, have you ever regretted choosing him and not me back then? Dugu Xiao enjoyed the benefits of this powerful power. Not everyone is like you, addicted to power and power. In my eyes, even if you become a god, you still can't compare to Night Fox. Before Yin Sheng could finish speaking, Dugu Xiao's gaze sharpened and he grabbed Yin Sheng's neck. Her delicate skin was like a soldering iron, burning Dugu Xiao's skin. He glared at Yin Sheng furiously. This damned woman always had the ability to enrage him in the shortest amount of time. Yin Sheng, don't think that I'm still the Dugu Xiao from back then. I won't let you look down on me again and again. Don't think that just because I like you, you can trample on me as you wish. I've already tolerated you countless times. Dugu Xiao's anger dyed his eyes red. You can try. I promise that when you do, I won't even make sound. Yin Sheng's neck had already turned red from Dugu Xiao's grip. She could feel that the air entering her lungs was getting lesser and lesser. Dugu Xiao was so angry that his nostrils flared. He clenched his 5 fingers one by one. As long as he used a bit more strength, he could kill this woman who was always going against him. Do you know what the boundless continent has become? Later Qin is now a land of death, Yin Sheng said intermittently. Shut up. Dugu Xiao angrily threw Yin Sheng to the ground. Cough, cough. You don't allow me to say it. Dugu Xiao, you should stop. Half of your blood is from the human race. You were once the emperor of Later Qin. Although you were an iron-blooded emperor, you did your best for the people of Later Qin. Think about the great rivers and mountains of the Later Qin and the tens of thousands of people. Are you willing to see everything you've done in the past be destroyed in a single day? Yin Sheng's words made Dugu Xiao's heart feel like it was being pierced by needles. Later Qin, his motherland. Although he had been in the 8 Desolates mainland for many years, everything that had happened in Later Qin seemed to have happened yesterday. In those years, he was still the iron-blooded crown prince of Later Qin. His father was still alive, and his mother was still so kind. All of this was still vivid in his mind. When he saw the 8 blood stars explode and the people of the boundless continent fall into madness, Dugu Xiao's heart throbbed a little. That used to be his motherland. Dugu Xiao, I know you care about it too. Do you know how to make the blood fog disappear? Yin Sheng's words cut off Dugu Xiao's memories abruptly. He took a few steps forward and stared at Yin Sheng. There were still 2 purplish finger marks on her neck. These were all caused by him. After fusing with the Black Qilin King's heart and the Saraira, he had become even more violent and bloodthirsty. Just now, there was a moment when he really wanted to kill Yin Sheng. If this continued, would he become someone who could not even recognize himself? Yin Sheng, don't bother about the boundless continent and the 8 Desolates mainland. Leave with me, okay? Dugu Xiao said in a low voice. He raised his hand and wanted to touch Yin Sheng's face. Yin Sheng wanted to reject him, but she noticed the look in Dugu Xiao's eyes. Dugu Xiao's eyes were very complicated. There was pleading and sorrow. Yin Sheng's face was reflected in his eyes. At that moment, he was like a patient who had placed all his hopes on Yin Sheng. As long as she nodded, he was willing to let go of everything. As long as she nodded, Yin Sheng's heart skipped a beat. She acted out of character and did not immediately break free from Dugu Xiu's hand. In her body, the power of the celestial fox, Sarira, slowly radiated out. When his calloused hand touched Yun Sheng's smooth skin, Dugu Xiu's body could not help but tremble. Dugu Xiu, look at me. Did you just say that you were willing to let go of everything with the Black Qilin tribe and return to the boundless continent with me? Unknowingly, Yun Sheng's eyes turned golden. However, Dugu Xiu, who was intoxicated by Yun Sheng's rare obedience, did not realize this. He only saw that the woman in front of him did not reject him. There was a faint smile on her lips. At that moment, Yun Sheng was so beautiful that even the moon in the sky could not compare. At this moment, he only wished that time could stop. This way, he could look at her forever and be with her forever. I can return to the boundless continent with you. However, Yun Sheng, it is impossible for the blood fog to disappear. Unconsciously, Dugu Xiu said the words in his heart. Impossible to disappear? Yun Sheng's heart sank. However, she still forced a smile on her face. You must have a way, isn't it? Dugu Xiu was silent. Dugu Xiu? Yun Sheng was a little anxious. Call my name again. Call me softly like just now. There was a trace of indulgence in Dugu Xiu's eyes. Dugu Xiu, tell me, what is the method to get rid of the blood fog? Yun Sheng controlled her temper and asked again. The method to get rid of it? Give me a kiss, and I will tell you. Dugu Xiu was like a child as he started to act shamelessly. Kiss. Kiss your head. Yun Sheng rolled her eyes in her heart. Dugu Xiu, you can give it a try. Just as Yun Sheng was in a battle between heaven and earth, an icy, cold voice descended from the sky. Yi Baiming appeared with a cold aura around him. Yi Baiming, you really did not appear at the right time. When he saw Yi Baiming, the confusion in Dugu Xiu's eyes quickly dissipated. He snorted coldly and became the extremely cold Dugu Xiu again. Chapter 1405. Dugu Xiu had already guessed that after knowing that Yun Sheng might be ambushed, Yi Baiming would definitely appear. However, Yi Baiming chose the most inappropriate time to appear, which made Dugu Xiu even more furious. The moment Yi Baiming appeared, he killed a few Black Qilin warriors. There were only 3 people on the hill. Dugu Xiu, you didn't fall for the golden puppet eye? Yun Sheng looked at Dugu Xiu, whose face was filled with killing intent, and exclaimed, Little wild cat, when did you become so stupid? He has the Black Qilin King's relic on him. Your celestial fox inheritance is useless against him. On the way, Yi Baiming felt that something was amiss. He immediately turned around to ask Green. Only then did he know that he and Yun Sheng had been fooled. When he arrived, he happened to see Yun Sheng and Dugu Xiu being intimate. At that moment, he almost exploded. Yun Sheng almost vomited blood. Even Yi Baiming thought of this, but she didn't realize it. Indeed, with the Qilin King's heart and the Qilin King's relic, Dugu Xiu's strength was comparable to Yi Xiu at his peak. With such a Yi Xiu, perhaps only the strongest celestial fox people's leader, Hu Yin, will be able to barely tie with him. And her current strength was not even comparable to Hu Yin. Aha! Yi Baiming, you're indeed my only opponent. I almost tricked her. However, you were wrong about one thing. The Celestial Fox tribe's illusion techniques are indeed very powerful. Just now, for a moment, I was really bewitched by her. Dugu Xiu curled his lips. Yi Baiming was right. A Celestial Fox inheritance at the level of the golden puppet, I was no longer useful to him. However, Yi Baiming and Yun Sheng did not expect it all. Just now, if Yun Sheng had agreed to his request, Dugu Xiu might have really let go of everything and left the 8 Desolates continent with her. Unfortunately, he knew that it was impossible. As for the reason, it was because of the man in front of him. As long as Yi Baiming was around, Yun Sheng would never accept him. Yun Sheng, are you curious why the Celestial Fox relic in your body is useless to me? Dugu Xiu was no longer the same as before. When he touched Yun Sheng, he sensed that there was a Celestial Fox relic in Yun Sheng's body. Logically speaking, He Yao and Hu Yin were 8 Desolates experts of similar strength back then. Even if Dugu Xiu had both the ancient Qilin heart and the Qilin King's relic, Yun Sheng, who had the Celestial Fox relic, should be able to put up a fight against him. However, the truth was that Yun Sheng was no match for Dugu Xiu now. This was also what frustrated Yun Sheng the most. Because the celestial fox relic in your body is incomplete. Dugu Xiu's words revealed the truth. Incomplete? How is that possible? I clearly obtained the celestial fox relic from the celestial fox tomb. Yun Sheng had actually suspected that she was an 8-tailed celestial fox. Back then, Hu Yin was also an 8-tailed celestial fox. With the combination of the strong and possessing the celestial fox relic, her strength should have broken through. However, ever since Yun Sheng broke through to the magic god realm, her cultivation had remained stagnant for a long time. So it was because her celestial fox relic was incomplete. So, you can't defeat me with just you. Just now, didn't you want to know how to make the blood fog disappear completely? I can tell you the answer to that. There's only one way to make the blood fog disappear, and that is to kill me. As Dugu Xiu spoke, Yi Baiming had already stepped forward. Release her. Your opponent is me. From a moment Yi Baiming saw Dugu Xiu, he knew that a battle between the two of them was unavoidable. Yi Baiming clenched his fists. Boundless battle aura gushed out from his knuckles. Dugu Xiu also stepped forward. With every step he took, the black battle aura in his body became denser and was emitted from his body. Battle auras gathered behind the two of them, forming two Qilins, one golden and one black. The two Qilins were glaring at each other covetously. They let out furious roars that resembled dragon roars and thunder. Suddenly, an ominous glint flashed in Dugu Xiu's eyes. His left hand turned into a halberd. With a shake of the halberd, an earth-shattering battle aura slashed toward Yi Baiming. At this moment, Yi Baiming's figure flashed. The halberd of the divine battle god in his right hand turned into many shadows and stabbed toward Dugu Xiu. In an instant, the shadows enveloped Dugu Xiu's entire body. Clang! 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 The halberds of the divine battle god clashed. Metal and stone collided. The sky was filled with their battle auras and halberd shadows. Whoosh! At this moment, a cold smile appeared on Dugu Xiu's face. The power of the world spread out from his body. Bang! The two of them separated upon contact. Yi Baiming felt that there was a repulsive force in Dugu Xiu's body that knocked him away. The blood in his body roiled. The skin on his chest was torn apart, revealing his white bones. This is the strength of the ancient Qilin king? Yi Baiming was forced to take a few steps back. Both of them had a portion of the divine battle god's power. But at this moment, Dugu Xiu had the upper hand. Is this all you've got? Then die. Dugu Xiu laughed out loud. You want to defeat me? It's still too early. Yi Baiming smiled indifferently. So what if he was the ancient Qilin king? The life and death talisman in his body quickly took effect and healed his wounds. The two of them fought until the sky turned dark. In an instant, the sand and stones on the hill were flying. Neither of them gave way to the other. Red-furred monster, it's you again. Just as Yi Baiming was about to fight to the death with Dugu Xiu, a popping sound appeared in the sky. When Popo heard that Yun Sheng had been ambushed, he immediately rushed over. But who knew that he would encounter such a scene? A heinous person like you should disappear from the human world forever. Today I, the world god, will let you have a taste of being banished. Banished to the abyss for 100 years. Popo chanted. Dugu Xiu felt the ground sink. His body was sucked into a bottomless abyss. Everything around him disappeared. Haha, Master, Qilin Brat, you can rest assured now. This eyesore has been banished underground by me. He won't appear for 100 years. Popo clapped his hands and laughed. Popo, are you sure? Can 100,000 feet underground trap Dugu Xiu? Yi Baiming was suspicious. Of course, I'm the world. Before Popo could finish his words. Just as Dugu Xiu fell into the ground, a violent force suddenly erupted from the depths of the earth's crust. It was like a volcanic eruption or a mountain flood breaking through a dam. Boom, boom, boom. Dugu Xiu broke out from the earth's crust. Not good. Master, Qilin Brat, run. Only then did Popo know that Dugu Xiu had come earlier than she. He was very powerful. Even her banished to the abyss was not his match. Of the 36 stratagems, escape was the best. Popo grabbed Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming and escaped. Chapter 1406. Damn it. What the hell is she? Dugu Xiao had never met an opponent like Bo Bo since his rebirth. He didn't expect the pink-haired girl to have such a powerful skill. Humph, she's a world deity of the mortal world. After Dugu Xiao broke out of the ground, he heard a sneer behind him. The high priestess and Yu Shang appeared behind him. World deity of the mortal world? So what? Her skill can trap me once, but it might not be able to trap me a second time. When Dugu Xiao saw that Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming had disappeared, he was extremely annoyed. He ignored the high priestess and Yu Shang and left. High priestess, what's going on? Didn't you say that he would become a Yi Xiao after fusing with the Qilin heart and Qilin relic? How does he look like a Yi Xiao? The fact that Dugu Xiao had left the Black Qilin tribe without their permission made the high priestess and Yu Shang very angry, especially Yu Shang. She had always thought that as long as Yi Xiao could be reborn, she would have a chance to gain his favor. However, Dugu Xiao had only absorbed Yi Xiao's power and hadn't become a Yi Xiao. He was still indifferent to Yu Shang. The high priestess also realized that after Dugu Xiao became stronger, he became more difficult to control than before. Especially when things involved that celestial fox bastard Yun Sheng, Dugu Xiao would always act strangely. Tonight's incident was a good lesson. This won't do. That kid is getting harder and harder to control. If this continues, it might mess up our overall plan. The plan now is to revive Yi Xiao, who is sleeping in that kid's body. The high priestess had an idea in her mind. What? Your Yi Xiao is still alive in that kid's body? Yu Shang was surprised and happy. She loved Yi Xiao, the powerful and decisive Yi Xiao. It's simple. Use hatred to activate him. Don't forget, make him remember Hu Yin betraying Yi Xiao. As for whether it will succeed or not, it will all depend on the illusion of your celestial fox tribe. This should be your specialty. The high priestess glanced at Yu Shang. Yu Shang hesitated for a moment and nodded. That scared me to death. I thought we were going to die in the 8th desolate continent. That red-hair monster is too scary. Ye's name. This was the first time she had met someone who could dispel her divine skill. Or he. Or... Although they had already captured enough people from the Black Qilin tribe, if the blood mist was truly like what Dugu Xiao said and could only disappear after killing him, it meant that they would have to face Dugu Xiao sooner or later. There was something else that Yun Sheng was more worried about. Dugu Xiao had said that her celestial fox relic was incomplete. Where did the missing part of the celestial fox relic go? Yun Sheng's mind was in a mess. She didn't even know when Yi Baiming had sent Bobo away. Little wild cat, shouldn't you explain to me what happened just now? Hearing a sour voice, Yun Sheng shuddered. She looked at Yi Baiming and saw that he was looking at her with a dark expression. Yun Sheng suddenly remembered that in order to trick Dugu Xiao, she seemed to have... Night Fox, don't misunderstand. I didn't do anything. Yun Sheng was embarrassed. Night Fox was jealous again. Oh, so you're saying that if I didn't appear, you would have kissed him? Yi Baiming narrowed his eyes dangerously. It's not like that. Night Fox, it's actually nothing to kiss him. When I was in my world, I would occasionally do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation in order to save people. Yun Sheng still wanted to argue. At this moment, Yun Sheng was full of confidence. Anyway, she had already told Night Fox about her past. Night Fox had also said that he wouldn't be calculative about her and Lu Minglang's past. Yun Sheng's original intention was to brainwash Yi Baiming and let him know that as the intimate lover of a medical staff, under certain circumstances, even if the patient was a toad, she would still kiss him. Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation? What's that? Yi Baiming's expression didn't change much. He looked like a humble student. It's mouth-to-mouth, like a patient, Yun Sheng said, and realized that something was wrong. Why did Yi Baiming's expression look so ugly? Looking at Yi Baiming's handsome face that was getting uglier, Yun Sheng already knew that she had committed a big taboo. Night Fox, don't be angry. Okay, I was wrong this time. What will it take for you to forgive me? Yun Sheng tugged at Yi Baiming's sleeve pitifully. She looked like a kitten that had been abandoned by its owner. A certain part of Yi Baiming's heart softened, but his face still had a foul expression. It's good that you know your mistake. Then, I'll punish you by kissing me 100 times as compensation. With that, a cunning look flashed past Yi Baiming's eyes. Okay, 100 it is. Huh? Yin Sheng's eyes widened. What? 100 times? After more than an hour, Bo bounced in. He discovered that Yi Baiming, who had a dark face earlier, was now beaming with joy. On the other hand, his master's cheeks were red and his lips seemed to be swollen. My dear master, do you have a fever? Why is your face so red? Bobo leaned forward with a face full of curiosity. No, Bobo, we're the people from the Qilin tribe. I'm going to start the experiment. Yin Sheng looked embarrassed. She found an excuse and slipped away. Next time, even if he died, he wouldn't dig his own grave and let that guy hit him when he was down. Qilin brat, you can't be bullying master, right? Why do I feel that master is strange? Bobo glanced at Yi Baiming. The more he looked, the more he felt that something was wrong. Bobo, you're still young. There are many things you don't understand. I was just trying to make your master happy. Yi Baiming took advantage of him and was in a good mood. What method is there to make someone happy? I also want to know that I can use it on Ming Ri next time. Every time he sees me, he looks like I owe him a pile of gold coins. Hearing that, Bobo immediately turned into a good student who was full of curiosity and looked at Yi Baiming expectantly. Hee, you really want to know? All right, I'll reluctantly tell you. Yi Baiming whispered a few words into Bobo's ear. Really? As long as it's like this, Ming Ri will be happy. All right, I'll try it next time. Hearing that, Bobo realized that the method to make Ming Ri happy was actually so simple. Her face was filled with joy. She made up her mind that the next time she met Ming Ri, she would definitely try it. Chapter 1407. Saintus, do you really plan to use Celestial Fox's illusion to revive Yi Xiao, who is sleeping in Dugu Xiao's body? It's too dangerous. The great Magus doctor was very worried when he learned that the Saintus was going to follow the high priest's wishes and revive Yi Xiao. I love Yi Xiao, not Dugu Xiao. Besides, Dugu Xiao has always been infatuated with that bitch called Yin Sheng. Once Yi Xiao revives, he will definitely give the order to attack the Boundless Land, Yu Sheng said firmly. Yu Sheng had already made up her mind. That night, she and the high priest made preparations in secret. They invited Dugu Xiao with the excuse of observing the situation in the Boundless Land. As soon as Dugu Xiao entered the main hall of the Beast God altar, clouds of pink smoke suddenly spewed out from the main hall. High Priest, Yu Sheng, how dare you plot against me? Dugu Xiao knew that something was amiss. He wanted to quickly leave the main hall, but the pink smoke blurred his surroundings. The smoke gradually condensed into an image. A woman appeared in the image. Yin Sheng. Dugu Xiao's heart twitched when he saw the woman. The woman in the image was dressed in a holy sorcerer's robe. Her eyes were melancholic and sorrowful. No, you are not Yin Sheng. Yin Sheng would definitely not have such eyes. The Yin Sheng that Dugu Xiao knew had a pair of sparkling eyes that were as bright as the stars, even in desperate situations. However, the woman in the image was very similar to Yin Sheng. The two of them looked very similar. Hu Yin. Another person appeared in the image. It was a black-haired man. He was tall and had a pair of eyes that were as deep as the sky. He was originally an extremely cold man, but the moment he saw the woman, the iceberg in his eyes melted instantly. It was an expression that only a man would have when he saw the woman he loved. When he saw the man, Dugu Xiao's heart trembled again. This familiar feeling. Hu Yin, the first celestial fox people's chief. The black-haired man's silhouette was almost identical to Yi Baiming. However, the man had ankle-length hair and looked wilder. He was Yi Xiao, the first Black Qilin patriarch, Yi Xiao. Yi Xiao, do you really want to fight to the death with the humans? Hu Yin turned around and looked at the handsome man in front of her. Of course, the humans have killed countless of my people. This time, I will slaughter them all. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Yi Xiao hugged Hu Yin. There was a hint of hesitation in Hu Yan's eyes. Yi Xiao, have you never thought of living in peace with the humans? Hu Yin, you're spouting nonsense again. How can humans and beasts live in harmony? We beasts are the noblest, while humans are lowly and filthy. Yishio's tone was a little unhappy. This was not the first time Hu Yin had mentioned this to him. A woman was a woman after all. Even someone as powerful as Hu Yin could not help but be soft-hearted. Don't say anymore. I made up my mind. If you don't want to kill those humans, stay in the camp and wait for me to return with the other beast patriarchs. By then, I'll be the Wuji king, and you'll be the noblest woman by my side. Yishio gently planted a kiss on Hu Yan's forehead before reluctantly letting her go. Looking at Yishio's tall figure disappear into the vast night, Hu Yan also sighed. Her figure flashed as she rushed in the opposite direction of Yishio. When she arrived at the humans' camp, a human ruler appeared in front of her. You? When a human powerhouse saw Hu Yan, there was a hint of admiration and doubt in his eyes. This is the refining method for the 8 Desolation Divine tool. Collect the materials on it. You need to refine the 8 Desolation Divine tool within half a month. Hu Yan took out a sketch and handed it to the human powerhouse. What? Dugushio's body could not help but lean forward. A sketch of the 8 Desolation Divine tool. He did not expect that the 8 Desolation Divine tool in the hands of the humans was actually created by Hu Yan. Why are you helping us? The human ruler took the sketch. He did not understand why Hu Yan would help them. The Bakra Orc's attack was too fierce. The humans were already an arrow at the end of its flight and could be killed at any time. I'm not helping you. I'm helping myself. Hu Yan's voice sounded unusually hollow under the vast starry sky. Dugushio suddenly clutched his chest. He felt that his heart was beating violently. It was not his heart, but the heart of the Black Qilin King Yeshio. His heart hurt as if it was being torn apart. It was heartbreaking. That was the woman that Yeshio loved the most, the woman that he was willing to use his life to protect. She actually betrayed the Bakra Orcs and helped the humans expel the Bakra Orcs from the Boundless Continent. Why? Why did she do that? The Black Qilin King relic in Dugu Shio's body screamed crazily. No. Black Qilin Chi spewed out from Dugu Shio's body. Yeshio, who was lurking in Dugu Shio's body, finally awakened. His red hair had turned black. Dugu Shio's hair had grown a lot longer. In his eyes, hatred had devoured everything. The fog in the main hall dispersed. The high priest and Yushang looked at the man who was standing stiffly with trembling faces. When he slowly turned around, the high priestess and Yushang were both shocked by the unique aura of a night cultivator. Patriarch, is it you? You're finally alive. I've waited for so many years, and you're finally here. My honorable patriarch, the only patriarch. The high priest's tears flowed down. He fell to the ground recklessly and kissed Yeshio's feet. Yeshio, is it really you? Do you still recognize me? I'm Yushang. I'm Hu Yushang. Yushang's face was full of admiration. She stared at Yeshio. From his eyes to the bridge of his nose and the world-destroying aura around him, he really was Yeshio. Yushang, Hu Yushang? Yeshio hesitated and looked at Hu Yushang. Yes, it's me. I saw the illusion just now when I secretly followed Hu Yan. That bitch Hu Yan secretly hooked up with a human emperor. She even secretly drew the blueprint of the 8 Desolation artifact and gave it to the humans. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have lost. Yushang continued to speak ill of Hu Yan. She had told Yeshio about this back then, but Yeshio was stubborn. He even went to the Dutian Blood Realm in the midst of the chaotic battle to find Hu Yan. It was also there that Yeshio was besieged by 8 human powerhouses with the 8 Desolation artifact and died in battle. Yes, I remember. I remember everything. I have to thank you for helping me come back to life. Yeshio took a deep breath and looked at Yushang. A strange cold light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 1408. Yishio, what's wrong with you? Hu Yushang felt that something was amiss. Yishio's appearance looked very crazy. There was no excitement in his eyes when he looked at her. There was only contempt and indifference. Hu Yushang shuddered. She had an impulse to run, to get out of the sight of this terrifying man. However, it was too late when she realized this. Yi Xiuming opened his hand. On his left arm, black scales grew densely. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. Hu Yin is a slut. You are a slut among sluts. Since she's dead, you should die with her. You can't do this to me. The one who let you down is Hu Yin. Yi Xiu, I've loved you for so many years. You can't do this. You will get retribution. Hu Yushang struggled frantically. However, how could she break free from Yi Xiu, who already possessed realm power? Boom! Yi Xiu's palm energy pierced through Hu Yushang's head. Hu Yushang's head exploded. The high priest, who was prostrating on the ground, felt a chill run down his spine. Yi Xiu, after learning of Hu Yan's betrayal, Yi Xiu developed a hysterical hatred for the Celestial Fox tribe, for women, and even for the entire continent. This hatred transformed into a terrifying destructive power. Shadow, tell me what happened on the continent in the thousands of years that I wasn't around. After killing Yushang, Yi Xiu calmly wiped away the blood on his hand. Yes, Patriarch. Ever since the High Priest gave a brief account of what had happened. So, that Celestial Fox bastard stole more than 1,000 people from my Black Qilin tribe, right under your noses? Shadow, is this what you've learned after following me for so many years? Yi Xiu's voice was filled with displeasure, and he raised his voice a little. Patriarch, this subordinate is useless. Patriarch, please tell us what we should do next. Yi Xiu's shocking pressure made the High Priest not even dare to breathe loudly. However, at the same time, there was a joy that bordered on ecstasy in his heart. That's right, this was the Patriarch. The Patriarch he respected and followed. Compared to the chieftain who was bewitched by the fox smoke, Yi Xiu was the most perfect chieftain of the Black Qilin tribe. Go and capture those young clan leaders who colluded with the enemy, as well as all the people of the 7 major beast clans. Yi Xiu's words stunned the High Priest. Capturing those few young clan leaders was pardonable, but what about the other beasts? There were so many beasts. How could they all be captured in such a short time? You still don't understand? Capture them and tell those people from the Boundless Continent that if they don't hand over the Black Qilin tribe one by one, I'll slaughter a beast race city every other day. Of course, I'll start with the Chinese. Yi Xiu's eyes were filled with killing intent. Clan leader, if we do this, won't the other beast clans be displeased? A Black Qilin warrior in exchange for the lives of city citizens? Even the High Priest felt that this method was too cruel. So what if they're dissatisfied? If it wasn't for me, they would have died in the Boundless Continent. It's time for them to do something. If those beasts don't obey, the Black Qilin tribe will be enough from now on. Yi Xiu waved his hand, and the High Priest could only bow and retreat. After Yi Xiu's resurrection and regained control of the Beast God altar, he ordered the capture of the young clan leaders of the 3 major beast clans and imprisoned all the people of the major beast clans. This set off a bloodbath in the 8 wilderness mainland. After hearing the news, Green, Z, Rita, and the rest left the city under the escort of their subordinates. Green, I've already said that we shouldn't have cooperated with that woman. She escaped back to the Boundless Continent, and all of us and countless people are going to suffer. Z was filled with regret when she thought of the tens of millions of people being massacred under the D clan. Z, you still don't understand. It's only a matter of time before Yi Xiu is resurrected. Just like what Yin Sheng said, the Black Qilin tribe is arrogant. It's only a matter of time before they annihilate the other beast clans. Green was more worried about the 9 Phoenix clan leader who was restrained by Yi Xiu. Yi Xiu couldn't capture them for the time being, so he would definitely target the clan leaders first. Both of you, stop arguing. The only thing we can do now is to tell Yun Sheng about the situation in the 8 wilderness mainland. Rita's heart was burning with anger. What's the use of telling her? If she could defeat Yi Xiu, she wouldn't have run away. Z was annoyed. Have you forgotten that Yun Sheng is the successor of the Celestial Fox? She has the Celestial Fox's relic in her body. If there was anyone in the 8 wilderness mainland who could go against Yi Xiu, it would be the Celestial Fox people, Long Huyen. The Celestial Fox people back then looked the same as Yun Sheng now. They both had 8 tails. As long as Yun Sheng can perfectly merge with the Celestial Fox's relic, she can go against Yi Xiao. Rita and Yun Sheng had crossed paths a few times. She firmly believed that only Yun Sheng alone could resolve the current crisis. We must find the Chinese as soon as possible and see if we can contact Yun Sheng through Lu Yunshuang and the others. Rita's words calmed Green and Z down for the time being. The three of them decided to inform Yun Sheng and the others about Yi Xiao's resurrection first. In Grand Imperial City, Yun Sheng had just learned about this from Popo. To facilitate communication, Popo had left a special World God Voice transmission magic array with Lu Yunshuang so that she could find out about the situation in the 8 Wilderness mainland from Lu Yunshuang. I didn't expect Yi Xiao to really be resurrected. When Yun Sheng heard this news, her heart could not help but sink a little. Yi Xiao was much more difficult to deal with than Dugu Xiao. Judging from the previous situation, Dugu Xiao at least still had some feelings for the Wuji continent, but Yi Xiao was different. The resurrected Yi Xiao's hatred for the human race was almost insane. Master, what should we do? They still don't know that the celestial fox Sarira in your body is incomplete. We can't even defeat Dugu Xiao, let alone Yi Xiao. Popo recalled the last time she fought with Dugu Xiao and felt a little scared. I don't know what to do either. Popo, the only thing we can do now is to stop Yi Xiao from killing innocent people in the city. Let's first hand over some of the people from the Black Shielan tribe. After Yun Sheng weighed the pros and cons, this was the only way. Master, what about the people on the mainland who have been poisoned by the blood fog? Popo was puzzled. Don't worry, we'll hand them over batch by batch. As long as Yi Xiao doesn't kill anyone for the time being, I'll think of a way to test out more vaccines among the remaining people as soon as possible. Although she said that, Yinxing knew very well that her method was actually just a stopgap measure. She had to give it a try. Chapter 1409. Yi Xiao's sudden resurrection caused the pressure on Yun Sheng's shoulders to increase. She also understood that the Nine Yuan tribe, the D clan, and the Behemoth tribe were targeted by Yi Xiao because they were on good terms with her. Little Wildcat, you don't have to force yourself too much. If it really comes to a point where we have no choice, we could try to break through the path of the gods. Yi Baiming also saw that Yun Sheng had been depressed these few days. Her face had become much smaller, and his heart ached. Night Fox, I'm fine. After I test out the first batch of vaccines, if it really doesn't work, we'll make a trip to the Grand Emperor's city. Yun Sheng could only do this at the moment. Although she didn't know if the path of the gods and the Grand Emperor's tomb really existed, it seemed that the only way to defeat Yi Xiao was to fight for the path of the gods. Regardless of whether they succeeded or not, even if they couldn't break through the path of the gods, it would still allow their strength to break through. No matter what you want to do, I'll accompany you. You haven't rested for a few days. If you don't rest tonight, I'll accompany you to sleep. Yi Baiming teased. Yun Sheng also felt dizzy. Under Yi Baiming's gaze, she could only sleep first. Perhaps it was because she hadn't rested for too long, but when she just fell asleep, Yun Sheng's mind was still groggy. After an unknown period of time, she finally fell asleep. In the dream, Yun Sheng vaguely saw a figure. That figure was very familiar. She could vaguely see that it was a woman. The woman walked further and further away. Wait, who are you? Yun Sheng tried her best to chase after her as she shouted loudly. All of a sudden, the figure turned around and turned into a statue made of smoke. That celestial fox statue looked like the fox smoke statue in the Celestial Fox Temple, but at the same time, she also felt that it was very similar to the statue in the Celestial Fox Tomb. Senior Fox Smoke, are you Senior Huyin? Are you trying to tell me something through the dream? Yun Sheng raised her head and looked at the Celestial Fox statue. However, no matter how much she asked, the Celestial Fox statue remained motionless. Just as Yun Sheng was about to give up, a bolt of lightning struck the Celestial Fox statue. The original Celestial Fox statue revealed the Celestial Fox Sarira inside. The Sarira was immediately split into 4. Yun Sheng sat up abruptly. She wiped the cold sweat off her forehead. Yun Sheng, what's wrong? Yi Baiming heard the commotion and rushed in. Seeing Yun Sheng in a daze, he hurried forward and hugged Yun Sheng. The woman in his arms had an ice-cold body and appeared unusually petite. It's nothing, Night Fox. I seem to have comprehended a new celestial fox legacy, foresight. It was only when Yunsheng woke up that she suddenly realized that she had unknowingly comprehended the eighth celestial fox legacy that Madame Rulin had imparted to her, foresight. Did the celestial fox legacy give you a nightmare? Yi Baiming looked at Yunsheng worriedly. That shouldn't be a dream. In my dream, I saw the celestial fox Harira in the celestial fox statue being split into four. Night Fox. If Yi Xiao could use a portion of his Harira power to form the holy infant back then could he and also use her own celestial fox Harira to form the holy infant? Would there be a portion of the celestial fox Harira power left in the holy infant's body? Yunsheng had been thinking about the celestial fox Harira in the past few days, apart from developing the vaccine. She was probably dreaming of what she thought of during the day. That was why she had forcefully triggered the foresight. It's not impossible. But Yunsheng, even if that's the case, the world is so big and so many years have passed. Where can you find Hu Yan's holy infant in such a short time? Yi Baiming knew that Yunsheng was anxious, but the boundless world was in such a state. How could she find it in such a short time? No, actually, it's not hard to find. Have you forgotten that the holy infant is different from ordinary people? It doesn't need to be naturally conceived to be born. Empress Li was the best example when she was pregnant with you. Hu Yin and Yi Xiao were the same. They both died in the Duqian blood realm. It's also very difficult for ordinary people to trigger the power of the celestial fox Harira. The so-called celestial fox holy infant must be born in the Duqian blood realm. The holy infant must also be of celestial fox blood. Yunsheng suddenly had a thought when she said this. Something flashed across Yi Baiming's eyes. You mean? Yunsheng and Yi Baiming said in unison. Madame Rulin, Mother. Both of them blurted out and were shocked by each other's words at the same time. Madame Rulin and your mother were both born from the beast blood cloud in the Duqian blood realm. Both of them are very similar to Hu Yan. According to your analysis, both of them could be holy infants formed from Hu Yan's celestial fox Harira. It's just that we don't know which of them has the celestial fox Harira in their bodies. After making a bold guess, Yunsheng and Yi Baiming immediately decided that Yi Baiming would go to Skywing City and bring the two of them over. A few hours later, the confused Hu Jiusheng and Hu Rulin were brought to Grand Emperor City. Shenger, why have you lost so much weight? Yi Baiming, how are you taking care of my daughter? Hu Jiusheng hadn't seen Yunsheng for a long time. As a mother, her heart ached when she saw that her daughter had become much more haggard. Before handing Yunsheng over to Yi Baiming, Hu Jiusheng had repeatedly warned her. Seeing her daughter in such a state, Hu Jiusheng couldn't help but pull a long face. Sister, don't blame Baiming. You know Yunsheng's character. If she were to fight with her life on the line, even Yi Baiming wouldn't be able to stop her. Hu Rulin hurriedly came forward to help her out. After leaving the Eight Desolates mainland, Hu Rulin rushed to Taiyuan Mountain to meet up with Hu Jiusheng. The two sisters, who had never seen each other since they were born, instantly felt like old friends when they saw each other. That night, Hu Jiusheng directly kicked Yun Songhai out of the room and chatted with Hu Rulin through the night. As the two chatted, they realized that even though they had been separated for more than 30 years, their hobbies and habits were exactly the same. Everyone in the Yin family quickly accepted Hu Rulin. Hu Rulin also had a smile on her face. Compared to when she was in the Eight Desolates mainland, she was like a different person. Mother, Second Aunt is right. Night Fox isn't wrong. Yunsheng hurriedly went forward to coax her mother. You little girl. As the saying goes, a married daughter is like spilled water. Now, you only know how to protect your man. Hu Jiusheng scolded jokingly. Mother, don't scold me. I'm here this time because I have something important to discuss with you. Yunsheng couldn't outtalk her mother. She hurriedly changed the topic and roughly told Hu Jiusheng and Hu Rulin about the dream she had last night. Unexpectedly, Hu Rulin and Hu Jiusheng revealed strange expressions after hearing Yunsheng's description. Chapter 14:10. Sheng, did you also have the same dream? Hu Jiuxing and Hu Ruolin looked at each other in dismay. It turned out that ever since the two of them met, they would have the same dream every few nights. The two of them did not pay much attention to it. After all, the two of them were originally hatched from the same beast blood cloud. It was normal for their thoughts and dreams to be similar. However, if even their daughter, Yun Sheng, had the same dream, then it was unusual. Mother, this dream is not an ordinary dream. I only had this dream after I learned the celestial fox inheritance. When Yun Sheng saw that both of them had the same dream, she was even more certain of her earlier conjecture. She linked the incomplete celestial fox Sarira in her body with the celestial fox Sarira in her dream, which was split into 4 parts in the celestial fox statue. Sheng, are you saying that there's a celestial fox Sarira in both of our bodies? But all these years, we haven't felt anything at all. Hu Jiuxing and Hu Ruolin were still in disbelief. Whether there is or not, we'll know once we give it a try. Yun Sheng was already prepared. She led her mother and Madame Ruolin into the room together. Mother, I'll start using the celestial fox inheritance to predict dreams now. If there really is a celestial fox Sarira in both of your bodies, there should be some reaction. Yun Sheng's celestial fox power slowly flowed in the room. Soon, the entire room fell into a dream. In the dream, the scene that Yun Sheng saw earlier appeared once again. At this moment, the celestial fox Sarira in Yun Sheng's body emitted a gentle light. Following the appearance of the celestial fox Sarira, Hu Jiuxing and Madame Ruolin's bodies emitted the same gentle light. A ball of light emerged from each of their bodies. The 2 balls of light were like children who had found their mother and quickly gathered towards the celestial fox Sarira in Yun Sheng's body. The 3 celestial fox Sariras merged completely. When the 3 celestial fox Sariras were completely merged, Yun Sheng felt that the magic power in her body was like a stream after the rain. It suddenly became much more abundant and became an extremely wide river. So there really is a part of the celestial fox Sarira in our bodies. Hu Jiuxing and Ruolin Fu were both deeply moved after they woke up. For so many years, the two of them never knew that a part of the celestial fox people's power of the celestial fox Sarira was actually in their bodies. Sheng's a dream's prophecy. The celestial fox Sarira in our bodies is out, but where is the 4th part of the power of the celestial fox Sarira? A mere 3/4 of the power of the Sarira is still not enough to defeat Yi Xiu after his rebirth. Madame Ruolin had also learned about the recent events in the 8 Wastelands mainland from Yun Sheng. After learning about the death of the celestial fox people's Long Hu Qianxiu, Madame Hu Ruolin's eyes darkened, but she felt relieved in her heart. Before coming to the boundless mainland, Hu Ruolin had thought that the way she and Hu Qianxiu got along as husband and wife for so many years was correct. However, it was only when she saw the way her sister, Hu Jiuxing, and Yin Songhai got along as husband and wife that she realized that Hu Qianxiu had never loved her from start to end. Now, she had completely given up on Hu Qianxiu. However, Yi Xiu had disregarded the friendship of the Bakra orcs and threatened Yun Sheng and the others with the lives of the various beast clans. This made Madame Ruolin very worried. Don't tell me there's a 3rd celestial fox, holy infant, in the boundless mainland? Hu Jiuxing questioned. That's not very likely. The beast blood cloud that gave birth to us was split into 2. We both have some impression of this. Madame Ruolin shook her head. Mother, second aunt, you don't have to worry about this anymore. Yi Xiu and I have already decided to enter the Grand Emperor's ancient tomb and explore the path of the gods. After obtaining 2/4 of the celestial fox Sarira, Yun Sheng also felt that her strength had increased significantly, but she was still a distance away from defeating Yi Xiu. Not long after Yun Sheng sent off Hu Jiuxing and Hu Ruolin, a piece of bad news came. What? You said the 9 Phoenix clan leader was killed. The first person to be killed by Yi Xiu was the 9 Phoenix clan leader, who had a very high reputation among the Bakra orcs. Yi Xiu wanted to slaughter the members of the various beast clans. When the 9 Phoenix clan leader, who was imprisoned in the beast god altar, found out, he cursed Yi Xiu, and Yi Xiu killed him. Now, the entire Nine Phoenix clan is in turmoil. As the young clan leader, Lu's whereabouts are also unknown. After Lu Yunshuang brought this news, Yunsheng was also saddened. Yishio had done it in the end. She had some friendship with the Nine Phoenix clan leader. That old man had taken care of her on many occasions. If this continues, the other beast clans will also be killed sooner or later. Lu Yunshuang and the others were also struggling to hold on. Looks like there's only one way left. Yunsheng looked at Yi Baiming. Yi Baiming also looked at her. Both of them knew that they had to make a trip to the Grand Emperor's tomb and find a way to open the path of the gods. After learning that Yunsheng and Yi Baiming were going to work together to enter the Grand Emperor's tomb, Yuan Bupo took out the White Tiger Emperor's jade. Yunsheng, this Emperor's jade should have been given to you a long time ago. It's just that back then, my father was wary of the Grand Emperor's clan's mission and was unwilling to let the Emperor's jade fall into the hands of outsiders. After experiencing the upheaval in Grand Emperor's city, Yuan Bupo had matured a lot. In his eyes, there was only relief and indifference. Once, he wondered if he would be the one to accompany Yunsheng into the Emperor's tomb. He had also dreamed countless times that he and Yunsheng, one playing the flute and the other playing the guqin, became the first immortal couple in the history of Grand Emperor City to obtain the 9th chapter of the Grand Emperor's Jade. Then, all of those became empty words. The one who would accompany Yunsheng into the Emperor's tomb was someone else. Yuan Bupo's heart was filled with regret. However, he also understood that Yi Baiming was the most suitable man to accompany Yunsheng into the Grand Emperor's city. Thank you, Yuan Bupo. I don't know when I will be back. I have developed the first batch of vaccine. I have already asked Jiromo to contact Great Si Ming and the others to send the vaccine to the underworld as soon as possible. Yunsheng received the White Tiger Emperor's jade. Master, are you really not going to let Bobo accompany you in? Bobo was a universe god. She knew very well how difficult the path of the gods was. If her master were to succeed, she would be qualified to become a god. However, if she were to fail, she and Qilin might not be able to come back forever. Bobo, don't be willful. Remember, you are a universe god in the human world. Now that the human world is in chaos, you have to bear the responsibility of a universe god. If anything were to happen to me, I believe Ming Ri would definitely be able to help you. After Yunsheng reminded her, she looked at Yi Baiming. Yi Baiming held her hand, and the two of them walked towards Grand Emperor's tomb resolutely. Chapter 1411. Dihong's ancient tomb was located at the bottom of Dihong City. For generations, other than the direct descendants of the Xian and Yuan family, no one was allowed to step into the ancient tomb, let alone the depths of Dihong's ancient tomb. It was said that only the first Dihong City lord and his wife had entered the bottom of Dihong's ancient tomb. Unfortunately, the two of them did not succeed in opening the path of gods. Yunsheng and Yi Baiming were the first pair of outsiders to enter the ancient tomb since Dihong City was built. The entrance of the ancient tomb was a heavy stone door with a seal. On the opening mechanism of the stone door, there were 4 indentations of totem emperor jades. Yunsheng embedded the green dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise emperor jades into the door. After the 4 emperor jades were completed, the 4 totem divine beasts revealed their appearances. Everyone, I'm very sorry. It took me so long to bring you back to the path of the gods. Moreover, I can't guarantee that I'll be able to open the path of the gods. Yunsheng looked at the 4 divine beasts in the air with an apologetic expression. Only those who passed Emperor Huiyan's test could obtain the qualification to open the path of gods. Master, you don't have to be too concerned. Everything is destined in the unseen world. Us 4 siblings being able to once again step onto the path of gods is already beyond our expectations. The 4 totem divine beasts also looked at Yunsheng with respect. After following Yunsheng for the past few days, the 4 totem divine beasts admired Yunsheng's bravery and wisdom. Since that's the case, let's enter the Emperor's tomb. I heard that there are many mechanisms in the Emperor's tomb. I'm afraid it'll take some time to reach the path of gods. Yinsheng looked at the open stone door. In the emperor's tomb, there were many twists and turns like a huge maze. According to Yuan Bupo, many of the ancestors of the Xian and Yuan family who entered the emperor's tomb in Dihong City had lost their way in the maze. Some of them were trapped for months or even a year. Master, you don't have to worry about the maze and mechanisms. To tell you the truth, us 4 siblings are also the totem guardian beasts of the emperor's tomb. The 4 totem beasts said, the mechanisms and labyrinths of the Grand Emperor's tomb were meant to trap those with impure thoughts and evil intentions towards the path of the gods. However, Yunsheng and Yi Baiming were different. The 2 of them did not enter the Grand Emperor's ancient tomb to open the path of gods for their own selfish reasons. They had come for the sake of all the humans and beasts in the Boundless Continent and 8 Desolate Continent. Thank you, Lord Divine Beasts. Yunsheng and Yi Baiming heaved a sigh of relief when they heard this. Not having to go through mazes and decipher traps could save a lot of time. After all, the answer will be revealed soon. The goddess pursed her lips and smiled. After tens of millions of years, the days in the realm of the gods were very boring. She hoped that the new couple chosen by Emperor Huiyin would not be like the pair of love-struck women and resentful men from 3,000 years ago. Emperor Huiyin had misjudged them again, just as the 4 great totem divine beasts had said. After removing the mechanisms and the maze, it was no different from an ordinary ancient tomb. In the ancient tomb, there were everlasting lamps that would never be extinguished. The walls were filled with murals that had existed for tens of thousands of years. Night Fox, look at this mural. Yinsheng stopped in front of a mural. On the mural, there was a strange-looking man with various herbs beside him. This man is Emperor Huiyin, who is also my ancestor, Emperor Huiyin of the Divine Farmer clan. The family bracelet on my hand was also passed down by my ancestor. If not for him and his bracelet, I would not have met you. Yinsheng said gently. Although the 2 worlds were different, both Emperor Huiyin and Emperor Huiyin were extraordinary people who deserved respect. If that's the case, let's kowtow to him a few times. In all his life, Yi Baiming had never kowtowed to the heavens or his parents. However, today he was sincerely grateful to Emperor Huiyin. This was because Emperor Huiyin had given him the first ray of sunshine in his life. The 2 of them held hands and knelt in front of the mural. They kowtowed 3 times to their ancestor, Emperor Huiyin. After that, Yunsheng and Yi Baiming continued to walk forward. When they reached the end of the tomb, the mural disappeared. The surroundings were empty and there were no extra items. It seemed that the name of the tomb did not live up to its name. There was only a table in front of them. On the table, there was a yellow guqin. Chapter 14:12. Is this the end of the tomb? Yunsheng hesitated as she looked around. There were no other exits or doors. Clang, clang. At this moment, Yunsheng heard a melodious sound from the guqin. The strings of the guqin that was empty started to vibrate and play by itself. The sound of the zither was very low at first, but it slowly became gentle like a gurgling stream. Then, the sound of the zither went from low to high, becoming loud and powerful. Yinsheng and Yi Baiming were both people who knew how to play the zither, but the 2 of them had never heard such a beautiful zither sound. The sound of the zither seemed to have played into their hearts. All the troubles in the world disappeared. The 8 wastelands and the boundless world disappeared. Unknowingly, the 2 of them closed their eyes and immersed themselves in the sound of the guqin. Gradually, the surrounding environment changed. The guqin disappeared, and so did the everlasting lamp. When Yunsheng came to her senses, she realized that she had already left the tomb. Where is this? Yunsheng was shocked as she looked around. There was a strong herbal fragrance, and there was a television playing. There were short tables and chairs, and a lonely single bed. Everything around her was neat and tidy. It looked so familiar, yet so strange. Yinsheng's heart jumped. She opened her eyes and realized that this was the Chinese medicine clinic that she had lived in for more than 20 years. She had returned to the modern world. This was China. Am I dreaming? Or was this all an illusion? Yinsheng pinched herself hard. It was so painful that she almost cried. She flipped through the tables and chairs again. At a familiar spot, she found a remote control for the television. After a series of random presses, the channels kept changing. Dark Thorns. Yinsheng was still unwilling to give up. She began chanting. There was no mana, no magic. Everything was real. It was not an illusion or a dream. She had really returned to the modern world. Yinsheng's heart suddenly felt empty. She sat down dejectedly, her mind spinning. The calendar on the wall had already flipped 3 days. It had been 3 days since Yinsheng returned to the modern world. In these 3 days, her mind had been constantly recalling everything that had happened on the boundless continent. After so many times, she couldn't even tell whether it was all a dream or not. Whenever she thought of Night Fox and her family and friends in the boundless world, she felt as if her heart was being cut by a knife. Every day, when she lay down and opened her eyes, the first thing she wished was that she had returned to the Grand Emperor's ancient tomb. However, she was disappointed time and time again. If it weren't for Yinsheng's mental fortitude, far surpassing that of ordinary people, she was afraid that she would have collapsed to the point of going to see a psychiatrist. In the past few days, Yinsheng had also checked repeatedly and found that the time she was at was a few days after the explosion of the taxi. However, no matter how she searched on the internet or flipped through the newspapers, there were no reports about the explosion of the taxi and the death of the driver and passenger on the spot. On the 4th day, Yinsheng finally believed that she had indeed returned to the modern world and that everything that had happened in the past could have been a dream. A dream? Yinsheng smiled bitterly and finally accepted this reality. The small clinic also began to operate as usual. Many patients came to the small clinic every day. After Yinsheng finished receiving the patients, she would close the door as usual. The days repeated. On the weekend, she received a call from the Municipal First People's Hospital. Dr. Yin, the hospital has a case of malignant brain tumor. This case is very difficult. The hospital's expert team hopes that you can personally perform the surgery. Other than running the small clinic, Yinsheng was also a specialist doctor in Municipal First People's Hospital. The hospital would only contact her when there was a special case. This kind of surgery was either very difficult and no doctor dared to do it, or the other party was a big shot and no one dared to accept it for fear of bearing the responsibility. The special case this time was obviously the former. The patient's malignant tumor was growing on the main cerebral artery. If it wasn't handled properly, it was very likely that the patient would die from cerebral hemorrhage. Yinsheng rushed to the Municipal First People's Hospital and was informed that the surgery was scheduled for 1 in the afternoon. This is the patient's information. His malignant tumor is in the middle to late stage. Fortunately, it was discovered early. This is the patient's past medical history and basic condition. On the way to the operating room, the assistant doctor handed the information related to the surgery to Yinsheng. When she opened the file, Yinsheng's gaze paused. The 3 words Lu Minglang jumped into her eyes. How could it be him? This patient is quite pitiful. He is a medical doctor who came back from the United States. He was just hired as a guest specialist not long ago. A few days ago, he suddenly had acute appendicitis. After he was sent to the hospital for surgery, a brain tumor was discovered, the assistant doctor said nonchalantly. Doctor, please save my fiancée. A young woman rushed over. She grabbed Yinsheng's hand. When she saw Yinsheng's face clearly, the woman screamed in shock. It's you. How could it be you? Yinsheng, why are you here? Qian Weiwei didn't expect that the person who treated Minglang's illness was his ex-girlfriend. You can't operate on Minglang. You'll kill him. Qian Weiwei hated Yinsheng. If it weren't for her, Minglang wouldn't have suddenly had appendicitis and wouldn't have been diagnosed with brain cancer. This woman was a jinx. I'm sorry. I don't want to operate on him. When Yinsheng saw Qian Weiwei, she felt disgusted. Although she didn't have any feelings for Lu Minglang, she wasn't broad-minded enough to operate on a scumbag. A doctor was also a human. She couldn't return good for evil. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. How great do you think you are? You're just a broken shoe that Ming Lang doesn't want. Any doctor would be 1,000 times better than you. Who do you think you are? You're just a Mongolian doctor in a broken clinic. What's wrong with a city hospital? Do you think we don't pay enough money to let someone like you do the surgery? Qian Weiwei's official temper flared up on the spot. This family member, please pay attention to your words. Dr. Yin is recognized by the Chinese Medical Association and the International Red Cross as the best all-round specialist. She is also a specialist specially hired by our hospital. If you insult her, it's equivalent to insulting our entire medical profession. The city hospital doesn't welcome you. Seeing Yun Sheng being insulted for no reason, the doctors and nurses in the hospital were dissatisfied. They all knew Dr. Yin. She was young, but her medical theory and clinical experience were very rich. If you don't welcome me, then you don't welcome me. I'll call my father and ask him to transfer Ming Lang to the hospital in the capital. Qian Weiwei didn't expect that these people would speak up for Yun Sheng. She was so angry that she took out her phone and dialed the number of the director's father. Hello, Dad, I want to transfer Ming Lang to... After a few words, Qian Weiwei's face was full of pride. Chapter 14:13. But not long after, Qian Weiwei's phone rang. After she picked up the call and listened to a few words, her expression changed. On the other end of the phone, the City Health Bureau's anxious voice sounded. Weiwei, what's wrong with you? I've contacted several hospitals in the country, and they all said that Ming Lang has been blacklisted. Not only that, the hospital that hired Ming Lang earlier also said that there's something wrong with his personal style, and they want to terminate the contract with him. Qian Weiwei was so frightened that her phone fell to the ground. She looked at Yun Sheng in shock. She didn't expect that this ordinary-looking woman in front of her would have such a terrifying influence in the Chinese medical industry. But she was absolutely unwilling to let Qian Weiwei take back her words and beg Yun Sheng instead. Yun Sheng ignored Qian Weiwei and turned to leave. There were still many patients waiting for her in the small clinic. Yun Sheng, it's you. Has Ming Lang's surgery started? An elderly couple rushed over. They were travel-worn, and when they saw Yun Sheng, they anxiously pulled her back. This couple was Lu Minglang's parents. Yun Sheng and Lu Minglang had been together for so many years, and they treated Yun Sheng as their own daughter. They lived in the countryside all year round and didn't know that Yun Sheng had broken up with Lu Minglang a few days ago. They also didn't know that the son they raised so painstakingly had abandoned Yun Sheng for the sake of his desires and work. Uncle Andy, Yun Sheng was about to leave when she was forced to stop at her tracks. If she didn't save Lu Minglang, there would be one less scumbag in the world. She had a clear conscience. However, the couple in front of them had lost all hope. At this moment, Yun Sheng's gaze fell on the Shinnong medical bangle on her wrist. That mural appeared in her mind again. Shinnong tasted all kinds of herbs to help the world. Did he ever think about who should be saved and who should not be saved? Life and death were the same for all patients. Whether it was Lu Minglang or Qian Weiwei, the past was like floating clouds. She was now someone else's daughter and someone else's lover. It was time for her to completely let go. Uncle, Andy, don't worry. I'll perform this surgery myself. Yun Sheng smiled in relief and turned to walk into the operating room. The operating room was right in front of her. The moment she pushed open the door of the operating room, Yun Sheng felt that her heart was lit up. Bright, everlasting lamps spilled all over the ground. With the sound of the zither still in her ears, Yun Sheng found herself back in Di Hong's ancient tomb. The guqin was still on the table, but it had stopped playing. Beside the guqin, there was an additional guqin score. Yun Sheng was slightly stunned. She looked around and saw Yi Baiming standing there, smiling at her. Night Fox. Even though they had only been separated for a moment, Yun Sheng felt as if the two of them had been separated by life and death. Her nose turned sour as she rushed forward and hugged Yi Baiming. I thought I would never see you again. Yun Sheng was really afraid that everything in front of her was a dream. It was not until she returned to China and returned to the modern world that she realized that she had completely integrated into the boundless land, be it her body or heart, because her family and friends were here, and the people she loved the most. The Yunsheng who lived in the modern world was just a shell. Little wild cat, don't cry. I won't leave. Everything is just a test given to us by Di Hong's 9th chapter. When Yi Baiming saw Yun Sheng, whose nose and eyes were red, he felt pity and love for her. He kissed away her tears tenderly. Actually, he was also very nervous. He was really afraid that Yun Sheng would not pass the test. The test of Di Hong's 9th chapter was like a dream, but it was also incomparably real. If she could not pass it, Yun Sheng would have to stay in China forever. Didn't you go through the test? When Yun Sheng saw Yi Baiming's calm expression, she felt a little uneasy. Logically speaking, since both of them had heard Di Hong's 9th chapter, shouldn't they go through the test together? These few days, she had suffered a lot. However, looking at Night Fox, she did not seem to suffer at all. Could it be that Emperor Yin was so biased that he gave her such a difficult test, and gave Night Fox a test with a cheating artifact? To put it bluntly, this test was to test Yun Sheng's medical ethics. If not for the compassion she felt for Lu Minglang's parents, the Shinnong medical bangle, and the many years of Emperor Yan's teachings, she might not have been able to pass this test. I also went through a test. However, it was just a small test. I came out without much effort. Yi Baiming said casually. When Yun Sheng was not paying attention, Yi Baiming's eyes flashed with an obscure look. Both of them had passed the test of Di Hong's 9th chapter. The Guqin score recorded Di Hong's 9th chapter. However, with Di Hong's 9th chapter was Path of the Gods. Yin Sheng opened the Guqin score suspiciously. Yin Sheng, why don't you and I play Di Hong's 9th chapter together? After Yi Baiming and Yun Sheng finished reading the Guqin score, they were also amazed. Di Hong's 9th chapter was indeed a famous ancient song. Yin Sheng nodded. Both of them sat at the table. Yun Sheng played the Guqin with her right hand, while Yi Baiming played the Guqin with his left hand. Both of them were extremely talented people. Even though they had only seen and listened to Di Hong's 9th chapter once, their hearts were in sync. They went back and forth, and even though they were supposed to be playing the zither by themselves, they were able to work together seamlessly. The sound of the Guqin was like a raging sea that flowed in all directions. It spread from Di Hong's ancient tomb to the entire Di Hong city. Those who had experienced the death of their family members and the pain of losing their wives and children stopped what they were doing to listen to Di Hong's 9th chapter. Yuan Bupo, Yuan Shanshan, and the rest held their breaths at the same time. Di Hong's 9th chapter is such a heart-wrenching tune. I'm afraid only the two of them can play such a tune together. Yuan Bupo's heart was filled with emotions. In the end, he still lost to Yi Baiming. He was the most suitable person for Yun Sheng. As the sound of the Guqin came to an end, Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming looked at each other and smiled. However, at that moment, a ray of golden light appeared in the sky above Di Hong City. The golden light shot down from the clouds in the sky and landed in Di Hong's ancient tomb. A majestic divine general in golden armor appeared in the clouds. He was dozens of meters tall and held a divine weapon in his hand. He was like a pillar that supported the heavens, standing between heaven and earth and the mountains. This divine general was Emperor Hua Yan's divine general. He was many times stronger than the Shi clan divine general that Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming had met earlier. Emperor Hua Yan was one of the few emperor gods in the divine world. His divine general had surpassed the overgod realm and was only second to an ultimate god. His strength was imaginable. The divine general's voice was like the rumbling of spring thunder, echoing in Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming's ears. Congratulations to both of you for successfully passing the test of Di Hong's ancient tomb. I am Emperor Huiyan's former divine general. The path of the ancient gods is about to open. Are you ready to embark on the path of the gods and head to the divine world? Chapter 14:14. Going to the realm of the gods. Yin Sheng and Yi Baiming looked at each other. They had opened the path of the gods, but they did not expect to go to the realm of the gods immediately. Everyone knew that the path to the realm of the gods was difficult, but if one successfully stepped on the path of the gods, It meant that they would have to stay in the realm of the gods forever. General, we did not open the path of the gods to become gods. Please forgive us, but I'm afraid we can't go back to the realm of the gods with you, Yin Sheng said after pondering for a while. How dare you? The human realm only has a chance to become gods once every 3,000 years. If you want to become gods, why did you open the path of the gods? What nonsense! The general was enraged. The two of them did not know how to cherish such a precious opportunity. It was no wonder that the general was furious. He waved the artifact in his hand and pointed it at Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming. Wait! At this moment, 9 fire dragons flashed across the sky, and the sky seemed to be split in half. A loud rumble could be heard from the clouds, shaking the heavens and the earth. A dazzling golden chariot slowly drove out of the clouds. When they saw the carriage, everyone in the Grand Emperor city felt their knees go weak and their minds went blank. They could not see clearly who appeared in the sky and what was said. Yinsheng only saw a golden light. In the east of the sky, there were 9 fire dragons, dragging a carriage that was more dazzling than the sun. There was a figure seated within the carriage. Although his appearance could not be seen clearly, the figure gave off a dignified aura that seemed to look down on the world. It was as if all living things in the world were ants before him, unable to reach the apex. Time seemed to have stopped. Is that the legendary god Emperor's aura? Yin Sheng was shocked. Although she had felt the god Emperor's aura when she played the Millennium Eye Sither, it was just an illusion. Compared to the real Emperor Hua Yin who came in the carriage, his aura was less than 1/10. Yinsheng only felt that it was difficult to breathe, and her knees felt as if they were loaded with thousands of pounds. But at this moment, Yi Baiming held her hand. There seemed to be an infinite amount of power in the man's hand. Yinsheng felt her knees straighten again. She looked at Yi Baiming, whose eyes were like stars, and her heart was suddenly filled with infinite courage. The two of them stood shoulder to shoulder. Under the terrifying God Emperor's aura, they were not afraid at all. Even the general in front of the God Emperor could not help but raise his eyebrows. As expected of the people chosen by the God Emperor, they were indeed extraordinary. The resentment he had for the two of them earlier had also lessened significantly. Haha, how many generations of descendants are you from the Yin clan? Emperor Fire could tell that Yun Sheng was not from this world at a glance. The Emperor Huayan had seen the test of the 9th chapter of the Great Emperor's Tomb. He laughed heartily and did not seem to be angry at Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming for going against the flow. I am Yin Yun Sheng, your 526th descendant. Yin Yun Sheng was not intimidated by the great ancestor's godly aura. I am Yin Yun Sheng. I am your 526th descendant. Just based on this point, it was clear that this descendant of his was superior to others in terms of temperament and courage. The Emperor Huayan liked her very much. He had been the emperor for so many years, and the ultimate gods and over-gods were all respectful to him. Very few people spoke to him in such a neutral tone. Both of you have passed the test in the Great Emperor's Tomb, but why are you not willing to step on the path of gods and become gods? As far as I know, if you stay, you will face the most serious crisis in the history of the mortal realm, Emperor Huayan said, and looked at Yi Baiming meaningfully. The Emperor Huayan was the incarnation of Emperor Huayan. His test for his descendant, Yun Sheng, was more of a test of medical ethics. However, the Emperor Huayan's test was different for Yi Baiming. However, he had also passed the test, which surprised the Emperor Huayan. Emperor Huayan, your test for us is to see if our minds are strong enough to become gods. However, if we pass the test and become gods but leave behind the mess of the mortal realm, then your test for us will be in vain. You don't want your descendant to become a deserter, do you? Yun Sheng replied, You're right, but you've missed this opportunity to enter the path of the gods. Next time, you might not be able to open the path of the gods so smoothly. Don't you regret it? Emperor Flame felt sorry for them. It had been 3,000 years. It was not easy to open the path of gods again. We won't regret it. However, Emperor Huayan, we have a purpose for opening the path of gods this time. We hope you could do us a favor. Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming did not enter the emperor's tomb to become gods. Their purpose was to find a way to resolve the calamity caused by Yishio's rebirth. I'm well aware of your intentions. However, there is a great disparity between the mortal realm and gods. The mortal realm's calamity must be resolved by the mortal realm itself. Emperor Huiyan's words made Yunsheng and Yi Baiming's hearts sink. However, I could do you a small favor. Whoever started the trouble should end it. The answer is in all directions. After saying that, Emperor Huiyan's divine light receded. The celestial emperor's chariot rumbled forward and disappeared into the clouds. Whoever started the trouble should end it. The answer is in all directions. Yunsheng and Yi Baiming were even more confused. What did Emperor Huiyan mean by that? The two did not get an answer and left the Grand Emperor's tomb resentfully. As soon as they left the tomb, Bobo ran over with a face full of excitement. Dear Master, how was it? Did you find a way to deal with Yishio? Bobo had seen the divine light in Grand Emperor City. The divine power of the God Emperor was indeed not to be underestimated. It scared a little master god like her. Unfortunately, Emperor Huiyan did not tell us any answer. He only said one sentence. Whoever started the trouble should end it. The answer is in all directions. Yunsheng shook her head. The answer is in all directions? Bobo tilted her head and thought. Master, I can't be. A sudden thought popped up in Bobo's mind, and she jumped up. Master, I think I know what Emperor Huiyan meant. The answer is in all directions. He must be talking about my mother god, supreme god of the four directions. In the god realm, supreme god of the four directions looked at the emperor's chariot with some annoyance. Emperor Huiyan, you have done me in this time. The one who made the bet with Emperor Huiyan was the mother goddess of Pops, the four directions supreme god. She was the supreme god of the four directions, supreme god of the god realm. She was once Emperor Huiyan's subordinate, but later became his best friend. For directions, you said it yourself. Or do you really want your precious disciple to be a world god? Emperor Huiyan's face was full of smiles. Forget it. This time, I admit defeat. Supreme god of the four directions looked helpless. She activated her divine sense and heard the message from the divine envoys in the four cardinal temples. Ming-Ri, that brat, still can't leave Bobo. Fine, I will help them this time. Supreme god of the four directions stepped into the void and disappeared. Emperor Huiyan's face was full of smiles, and his eyes were unfathomable. Chapter 14-15. In order to meet Supreme God Four Directions, Bobo went to the underworld and found Ming-Ri again. When he heard that Bobo wanted to introduce Yunsheng to Supreme God Four Directions, Ming-Ri refused on the spot. Bobo, you are too ridiculous. You clearly know the rules of the God realm. The Mother God is impartial. Why would she meet with two mere humans? Ming-Ri said coldly. During this period of time, he was very annoyed because of the matters in the mortal realm. Seeing that Bobo was pestering him endlessly again, his originally expressionless face turned into a huge block of ice. Anyone who approached him would be frozen to the point of dizziness. Only Bobo, this guy, was still late. When Ming-Ri was in a bad mood, she still came to provoke him. Hey, Ming-Ri, what are you talking about? What do you mean by mere humans? That is my master. Besides, Master and them have obtained the approval of Emperor Yin and opened the god's path. They almost became gods. How can they be mere humans? Bobo pouted her cute little mouth, put her hands on her waist, and looked like a female yaksha. When she was still an egg, she was afraid of Ming-Ri, but now that she was a human, her courage grew a lot. She found that Ming-Ri was just a paper tiger. Other than his black face, he didn't seem to be very powerful. You said it yourself, almost, that is, they're not gods yet. Foolish humans. They gave up the chance to become gods once every 3,000 years. What kind of master? What kind of... Ming-Ri snorted coldly. Bobo repeatedly asked, but this time, Ming-Ri was determined and refused to help Bobo contact Supreme God Four Directions. Bobo was depressed. She was worried, but suddenly, a flash of inspiration flashed in her mind. Didn't Shilin Kid teach her a method earlier, saying that it was used to make people happy, and it would be 100% hit? Even if it was the cold Ming Ri, it would be difficult for him to escape. Bobo's little face lit up, and she leaned in front of Ming Ri. When Ming Ri wasn't paying attention, she kissed him on the cheek. Ming Ri didn't react at first. His face was stiff, and there was still Bobo's saliva on his face. Hey, it seems to be useless. It can't be That day when Qilin Boy used it on Master, Master looked very happy. Bobo glanced at Ming Ri's face and found that he still didn't smile. That's right, the position must be wrong. Qilin Boy said that it must be mouth-to-mouth for it to be effective. Bobo secretly cheered herself on in her heart. She pulled Ming Ri's shoulders over and hung her 2 hands on Ming Ri's body. She pouted her mouth and firmly bit Ming Ri's lips. After finishing it, Popo blinked and looked at the sun of the underworld. There's hope. Bobo was pleasantly surprised to find that Ming Ri's eyes were a little different. His face that was as black as the bottom of a pot actually had a slight crack, and the corners of his lips seemed to be slightly raised. Continue to work hard. Kid Qilin said that the more times, the better the effect. It would be best to gather 100 times. Bobo felt a little pity for her small arms and legs. It was all Ming Ri's fault for growing so big. There were still 98 times. Fortunately, although Ming Ri looked cold, his mouth was quite soft and sweet. It was like the candy that Master bought for her when she was in the Boundless World. Bobo felt that she still liked to bite Ming Ri's mouth. Bobo pouted her lips, aimed at the target, and took another bite. Only this time, before she could bite Ming Ri, she suddenly hugged him. Ming Ri actually bit her first. Bobo suddenly felt that something was wrong, but it was all too late. Woo! Why did she feel that she seemed to have been sold by Qilin Boy? So, Ming Ri agreed to help us introduce Supreme God 4 Directions. When Bobo returned to the mortal realm again, Yinsheng waited for a big piece of good news. Yes, Ming Ri agreed. When Bobo mentioned Ming Ri, her face turned red. Bobo, why is your face so red? Yinsheng realized that there seemed to be something wrong with her little Bobo. Dearest Master, Bobo seems to be sick. Bobo threw herself into Yinsheng's arms and cried. Yinsheng was shocked. Bobo was sick. Bobo was a divine body. When she was still an egg, she was very healthy. Now that she had broken out of her shell, how could she fall sick so easily? Yinsheng looked at Bobo from head to toe and found that other than her heart rate and pulse that were slightly abnormal, everything else was normal. Didn't you just go to see Ming Ri? Why are you sick? Yinsheng was suspicious. But when Yinsheng mentioned Ming Ri, Bobo's heart and pulse began to beat wildly. Her face was also like a Shaohua stove, burning hot. Woo, Master, you see, I'm sick again. Bobo continued to cry. Stop, Bobo. You tell Master first what happened. Yinsheng looked at Bobo and had a feeling of not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Woo, Bobo also doesn't know. Since Bobo followed Qilin Boy's method to make Ming Ri happy, she became like this. It must be that Ming Ri, that big bad guy, has some messy venereal disease on his body and passed it to her. Bobo looked angry. Venereal disease. Yinsheng was speechless for a while. Who was the one who taught Bobo these nonsense words? Bobo, don't worry. Tell me, what method did Night Fox teach you? Yinsheng had an ominous premonition. Although Bobo looked like a little Lolita, in terms of psychology, she was 100% pure. Yinran and a child were useless. That day, Bobo saw Master and Qilin Boy kissing. Bobo thought that Master was bullied and wanted to seek justice for Master. But Qilin Boy said that it was a way to make Master happy. Bobo told Yinsheng that Qilin Boy said that the best way to make a person happy was to kiss 100 times. Bobo also secretly looked at her Master. She seemed to be very happy. Yinsheng's face was speechless. When Bobo said that, her face began to blush. Damn Night Fox, you dirty guy, what nonsense did you put into Bobo's little head? I'll settle accounts with him later. Yinsheng gnashed her teeth in her heart. Bobo, don't worry. In fact, you don't have an illness. If I'm not wrong, you should. Like Ming Ri. Yinsheng rubbed Bobo's hair with a look of love. This child finally grew up and became enlightened. Like Ming Ri. When Bobo heard this sentence, it was as if she had been struck by lightning. This was 100 times more shocking than hearing that she was sick. How could she like Ming Ri, that 1,000-year-old iceberg? Chapter 14:16. After listening to Bo's explanation of what had happened in the underworld, Yunsheng finally understood. She'd only been able to meet Supreme God four-way this time because of Bo's little honey trap. Poor little girl. She didn't even know that Yi Biming had sold her. She still hadn't come to her senses. In order to vent Popo's anger, Yunsheng found Yi Biming and gave him a good scolding. After knowing that Bo had mistakenly thought that the person she liked was sick, Yi Biming burst out laughing unkindly. Bo was so angry that she almost impulsively wanted to exile him 1,000 times over. Damn fox, if you laugh again, Popo will cry. Yunsheng was angry and amused. At first, she was a little annoyed with Yi Biming, but after thinking about it, she immediately understood Yi Biming's intentions. In fact, Yunsheng and Yi Biming, as people who had experienced Ming Ri's feelings for Popo, could see it clearly. It was just that Popo didn't realize it. Because of this, Yi Biming even mocked Yunsheng in private, saying that Popo was the same as Yunsheng in the early years. A typical ingrate who treated other people's infatuation as ill intent. Yi Biming's actions were indeed a little unscrupulous, but it was undeniable that it had a very good effect. At least it proved that Ming Ri's feelings weren't unrequited. Popo also had feelings for him. Just based on this, Underworld God owes us a big favor, Yi Biming said proudly. With Ming Ri's help, Popo contacted Divine Four Directions. Because Yunsheng and Yi Biming were still humans, they couldn't go to the God Realm directly. They could only go to the Underworld through Divine Four Directions. When the white-robed Supreme Divinity, Four Cardinal Directions, appeared in the Underworld Deity Palace, it cheered and pounced on him like a little bird. Haha, you're still the same. Divine Sovereign Four Directions smiled at his precious disciple. Bo and Ming Ri were both disciples of the Four Cardinal Divinity. Ming Ri was the strongest among all the disciples. Bo was the weakest. But even so, it did not hinder Divine Venerable Four Directions' love for Bo, Mother Goddess. Bo thought you didn't want me anymore. Bo was like a cub, lying in God Four Ways embrace, unwilling to let go. Mother Goddess thought that you no longer wanted Mother Goddess now that you had a master, said Divine Four Directions as he glanced at Yunsheng. Yunsheng had heard Bo and Ming Ri mention the Four Cardinal Gods many times. She thought that the Four Cardinal Gods would be as majestic as Emperor Huiyan. But today, Divine Four Directions, who had a noble status in the divine world, was actually a beautiful middle-aged woman. She had willowy eyebrows, red phoenix eyes, and a pair of beautiful eyes that were as clear as water. The rarest thing about her was that she had a humble temperament. Seeing her slowly wake up, calm and graceful, without any arrogance, one could not help but have a good impression of her. It was hard to associate this Divine Four Directions with the Almighty of the divine world who had taught Ming Ri the god of slaughter. Divine Four Directions, I'm sorry. I made a contract with Bo by accident. Yunsheng was still a little nervous. Divine Four Directions was blaming her for making a contract with his beloved disciple. No, it's not your fault. Everything seems to be accidental, but it's actually destined. Speaking of which, it's also my fault for the bet I made with Emperor Huiyan. If it wasn't for the bet 3,000 years ago, the mortal world might not be like this now. Divine Four Directions sighed. The bet 3,000 years ago? Yunsheng and Yi Biming had strange expressions. You should know that the path of the gods opens once every 3,000 years. In fact, before you, there was a pair of resentful man and woman who almost succeeded in becoming gods. It's a pity. Divine Four Directions was lost in his memories, his eyes deep. 3,000 years ago, not long after Divine Four Directions received the title of Divine Four Directions, she was already a divine general under Emperor Yin. But unlike ordinary divine generals and divine emperors, Divine Four Directions and Emperor Huiyan were best friends. So even after becoming a Divine Four Directions, they still kept in touch. One day, Emperor Hua Yin suddenly brought divine four directions to a skylight, saying that he had chosen a pair of man and woman from the mortal world. As long as they passed the test of the path of the gods, they could become gods. However, Reverend Four Directions felt that the man and woman did not possess the qualifications to become gods. This was especially true for the man, whose personality was extremely fierce and ruthless. Divine Four Directions thought that such a character would cause Emperor Huyin a lot of trouble in the divine world in the future, even if he became a god. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble in the future, it was better to choose a new person. Emperor Huyin did not think much of it. In the end, Divine Four Directions suggested that she had an over-god who was going to the mortal world to undergo training. While she was escorting the over-god to the mortal world, she could test the pair. If the man and woman passed the test, the Supreme Divinity Four Directions would acknowledge them and personally bring them to the God realm. Divine Four Directions, is the test you mentioned the one we went through in Dihong's tomb? Then the man and woman you mentioned, could it be them? Yin Sheng vaguely knew the answer. That's right, it was a similar test. Dihong's 9th chapter tests the inner demons in a person's heart. The pair was called Yi Xiao and Hu Yan. Unfortunately, Yi Xiao did not pass the test and failed. Divine Four Directions sighed. Chapter 14:17. Hu Yan passed the 3,000-year test, while Yi Xiao failed. Then, Yi Xiao forgot all about it. Hu Yan could even give up the chance to become a god. How could she betray Yi Xiao? However, the truth was that Yi Xiao thought that Hu Yan had betrayed him, and the two of them fell out. In the end, the Bakra orcs were defeated in the Dutian blood realm, and Hu Yan and Yi Xiao died. Supreme Divinity, if you don't mind, what was their test back then? Yin Sheng's heart was in her throat. She could vaguely guess that this was the root cause of Hu Yan's and Yi Xiao's falling out. It was also the key to whether she could find the last part of Celestial Fox's Saraira. Yi Xiao's and Hu Yan's test was the same. Their test was whether they could accept humans and beasts to coexist peacefully. The result was obvious. It had been 3,000 years, but every time Supreme God Four Cardinal thought of the test, he could not help but sigh. Hu Yan was a broad-minded woman. She practiced medicine and had a good relationship with humans. However, Yi Xiao's parents were harmed by humans when he was young, so he had always hated them. Although the two of them loved each other deeply, they were fundamentally at odds with each other. I see. No wonder Hu Yan and Yi Xiao fell out at the last moment. Even so, Hu Yan did not betray Yi Xiao. She gave up on going to the divine realm alone and chose to stay with Yi Xiao. Isn't this enough to prove her feelings for Yi Xiao? Yin Sheng felt that it was not worth it for Hu Yan. That emotional and strong woman sacrificed her chance to become a god. In the end, she did not get to be with Yi Xiao. Instead, she became the person he hated the most. Yi Xiao did not hesitate to set up an ancient forbidden spell to curse Celestial Fox and the men and women of the Black Chelan tribe for generations. That's because you don't know that the beast had the absolute upper hand during the war with the humans. At that time, Hu Yan gave the sketch of the Octaterra artifact that she had painstakingly drawn for many years to the human powerhouses. Even Popo and Ming Ri were stunned when they heard this. How is that possible? The 8 Desolates divine artifact was created by Hu Yan? Yun Sheng did not expect that the 8 Desolates divine artifact was not created by the human race. No wonder the artifact is called the 8 Barons artifact. However, Hu Yan's actions are tantamount to betraying the Bakra orcs. Bobo clicked his tongue. Why are these people's thoughts and actions so complicated? Hu Yan has never betrayed Yi Xiao. She is an intelligent woman and knows a little about divination, medicine, and witchcraft. Perhaps she had foreseen everything. That's why she begged me to teach her how to decompose Celestial Fox's relics back then. That's how the situation today came about. Divine Venerable Four-Way's heart was as clear as a mirror. She also knew that Yun Sheng's main purpose in inviting her here was to find out the whereabouts of the last Celestial Fox relic on Hu Yan. That's great. Mother Goddess, you really do know the whereabouts of the last celestial fox's relic. Mother Goddess, please do a good deed and tell Master that she has used all kinds of methods to find the celestial fox's relic. She is so anxious that she's turning into an old woman. Bobo tugged at Divine Venerable Four Ways' divine robe and shook it incessantly. Child, you're still the same after so many years. To think that I entrusted you to Hu Yin in order to train you. Divine Venerable Four-Way was at a loss for words. Everything was indeed predestined by the unseen world. When Divine Venerable Four-Way handed Bobo to Hu Yin, she did not expect that Hu Yin would use the divine technique that she had imparted to split the celestial fox's relic into four. Then where is Hu Yan's last celestial fox's relic? Yin Sheng became nervous. Are you sure you want to know the answer? Divine Venerable Four-Way sighed. Life was unpredictable. Hu Yin and Yi Xiao had already become an eternal regret. Divine Venerable Four-Way originally did not want to see another regret happen. Divine Venerable, please enlighten me. Whether or not they could resolve this calamity between the Boundless Continent and the Eight Desolates Continent depended on the whereabouts of Hu Yan's last celestial fox's relic. That celestial fox's relic is actually far away on the horizon. It's right in front of you. It's in his body. Divine Venerable Four-Way stared at Yi Baiming after saying that. Yi Baiming was not surprised as he had expected. He only looked at Divine Venerable Four-Way indifferently, as if he was not surprised at all. How is that possible? Yi Xiao is a black Qilin. How could he have a celestial fox's relic in his body? Yin Sheng could not believe it, and thought that Divine Venerable Four-Way must have made a mistake. There was originally no celestial fox's relic in his body. Hu Yan's fourth celestial fox's relic was originally left in the remains of the Qilin King Yi Xiao. The reason she did that was to increase Yi Xiao's chances of survival. However, when Ming Ri used the hellfire to regenerate his bones and flesh, a portion of the celestial fox's relic was transferred to his flesh and bones. Divine Venerable Four-Way did not know that his two disciples had actually done such a heaven-defying thing behind his back, which was not easy even in the God realm. Then how can we extract the celestial fox's relic from his body? Yin Sheng asked again. Previously, she had used a precognitive dream to extract the celestial fox's relic from her mother and Madame Rulin's bodies. She did not know if the same method could be used on Yi Baiming's body. You and Yi Baiming are of a different race, and the two of you are not related by blood. In order to extract the relic, your spirit and body must be compatible. You should already understand what I mean. After Divine Venerable Four-Way finished speaking, he shook his head with a look of regret. If the spirit and body were compatible between a man and a woman, wouldn't that mean? However, the relationship between her and Yi Xiao was restricted by the ancient forbidden curse. Wouldn't that mean? Yin Sheng did not want to continue thinking about it. As expected. Actually, I had already guessed this when I accepted Di Hong's 9th chapter test, but I was not sure at that time. Yi Baiming smiled faintly. He did not complain, nor did he feel sad. He simply accepted this fact calmly. Yi Xiao, you already knew? What kind of test did you accept in Di Hong's ancient tomb? Why didn't you tell me then? Yin Sheng looked at Divine Venerable Four-Way, then at Yi Baiming, then at the dejected Ming Ri and Bobo. The ominous feeling in her heart grew stronger and stronger. Bobo, Ming Ri, leave the two of them alone for a while, Divine Venerable Four-Way said softly. Bobo's eyes were red as she left with Ming Ri, leaving only Yin Sheng and Yi Baiming. Yin Sheng, I didn't tell you because I didn't want you to think too much. Yi Baiming gazed at Yin Sheng gently and gently hugged her. Moreover, even if I told you, it wouldn't change anything, because I only have one choice, and I want you to live well. Chapter 14:18. Early in the morning, Yin Sheng woke up. Night Fox. Yin Sheng ignored her aching body and looked at. Beside her, Yi Baiming still had his usual smile on his face, but his eyes were closed forever. Tears welled up in her eyes, and her heart was empty. Yin Sheng laid on Yi Baiming's body, sobbing uncontrollably. A few days later, Yin Sheng returned to Grand Emperor City alone. "Master, are you all right?" Not seeing Yi Baiming, Popo's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Qilin brat had already? Popo looked at her master nervously, but she saw that there was no fluctuation in her master's eyes. Yuan Shahua, Yin Songlong, and his wife looked at Yun Sheng worriedly. They had already heard what had happened from Bobo. Why was it so cruel? Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming were clearly in love, but because of an ancient forbidden spell, they were separated by heaven and earth. "Popo, bring me to the 8 desolate continent." Yin Sheng nodded at everyone. Night Fox had sacrificed himself in order to protect the boundless continent and the 8 desolate continent. She would not disappoint him. On the 8 desolate continent, there was a storm of blood. After the death of the 9 Phoenix tribe leader, the beasts on the continent could no longer tolerate Yi Xiu's violence after his rebirth. They banded together and attacked Sky Harmony City. Under He Yao and the High Priest's watch, the entire Sky Harmony City was impregnable. But even so, the grievances of the people grew heavier and heavier. Even the High Priest felt that something was wrong. In these days, the incense of the beast god altar had completely disappeared. The faith of the past had turned into hatred. But Yi Xiu did not seem to care. Gradually, even the High Priest realized that Yi Xiu was becoming more and more dictatorial. Even those in the Black Qilin tribe who disobeyed him would be killed by him. "Yi Xiu, return my grandfather's life." Outside the Qilin palace, several figures rushed in extremely quickly. Several Black Qilin warriors were killed immediately. Green and purple appeared in front of Yi Xiu, their bodies full of hostility. When Green saw Yi Xiu, his pupils shrank. Black Qilin King Yi Xiu. Ye Xiu, who was once regarded as the savior of the Bakra orcs, who sacrificed his own life in exchange for the Bakra orcs' escape, was right in front of him. He was the one who killed his grandfather. What savior? What strongest clan leader in history? They were all bullshit. In Green's eyes, Yi Xiu was a murderous demon king who had lost his mind due to anger. Zhuowan and D-Clan? Yi Xiu laughed cruelly. Amidst his laughter, the entire Qilin palace shook violently. Cracks appeared under Green and Purple's feet as countless rocks fell from above. Terrifying realm power enveloped the entire Qilin palace. The moment they felt the power of the realm, the color of Green and Purple changed. A figure shot out like a bolt of lightning. That speed was not something that Green and Z could block. Bang bang. 2 crisp attacks. Green and Z were sent flying. Under Yi Xiu's disdainful gaze, the 2 of them rolled on the ground. "Those who disobey me, Yi Xiu, will only die." Yi Xiu looked at the 2 of them coldly. With a wave of his hand, Z and Green's feet left the ground and were lifted into the air. "Clan leader." These 2 are the young clan leaders of Zhuowan and D-Clan. "They are still useful," the High Priest said. "What's the use? In Ba Huang continent, other than the Black Qilin tribe, we don't need any other beast clan." Yi Xiu laughed cruelly. At this moment, there was only one word in his heart: kill. Those who betrayed him and were disloyal to the Black Qilin tribe must all die. Yes. Yi Xiu suddenly looked forward. In the sky above the Qilin palace, the Qilin realm created by Yi Xiu was torn apart. Break! In this world deity's territory, what kind of world is this? All of you scram. I'm the boss of the mortal world. A rude and unreasonable female voice rang out. Yi Xiu's realm power was forcefully broken. In the dust, 2 figures appeared in everyone's sight as if they had fallen from the sky. They are... The people who walked out of the shadows made Yi Xiu's eyes change. "I am Bobo. This is my master, Yun Sheng." Bobo's voice was heard. "Clan leader, that is Yun Sheng. She's just a lowly celestial fox." The High Priest did not expect Yun Sheng to have the guts to appear in Ba Huang continent again. When Yi Xiu felt the fluctuation of celestial fox's energy, the violence and hatred in his body rose little by little. "Celestial fox? Then what are you? A pair of Black Qilin trash. Look carefully, Our master is the real celestial fox. Bo glanced at Yi Xiu and the high priest. Yi Xiu's eyes narrowed. Yun Sheng's figure was imprinted in everyone's eyes. It was an extremely beautiful woman. Her face made Yi Xiu's mind wander for a moment. Because this woman's face was somewhat similar to Hu Yan's, but she was not Hu Yan. Because behind her, there were 9 pure white foxtails. The foxtails flashed with powerful magical fluctuations that made it difficult for people to look directly at them. The woman just stood there quietly, but there was a strong pressure around her that made people feel suffocated. Since ancient times, the 9-tailed celestial fox that had never appeared in the celestial fox tribe was born. 9 tails? How could it be 9 tails? Could it be that you have completely merged with the celestial fox's energy? Seeing Yun Sheng in her 9-tailed state, even the high priest could not help but be dumbfounded. So what if you have 9 tails? Today, I will cut off your foxtails one by one. Yi Xiu's face revealed a bloodthirsty look as he roared violently. The power of the halberd of the divine battle god in his left hand slashed out an arc of light in the air, whistling as it rushed towards Yun Sheng. Yun Sheng did not back down. The summoning hand and magic god bracelet in her hands lit up at the same time. A raging dragon-like, dark, heavenly thorn met Yi Xiu. The two figures passed by each other sideways. The collision of fighting aura and magic formed a huge ball of light. Wherever the ball of light went, everything turned into nothingness. Green, purple, and the rest were overturned by the two forces. The high priest, on the other hand, was fighting with Bo. You are indeed powerful. No wonder you dare to be so impudent. After fighting with Yun Sheng, Yi Xiu also realized that this woman's power was far beyond most people in the 8 barren lands and the boundless continent. As he spoke, streaks of fighting aura rolled out of Yi Xiu's body. Large patches of black scales appeared on his body. Sharp barbs also grew out of his spine and arms. In just a moment, Yi Xiu had turned into a King Qilin who was even more vicious than before. Yun Sheng suddenly jumped and rushed towards Yi Xiu, who was a few feet away. To the Bakra orcs, once they completed their beast transformation, their power would increase greatly. This was the best time for Yun Sheng to attack Yi Xiu. Chapter 1419. Boom! Yun Sheng's sun-devouring Qilin power, which was a combination of battle energy and magic power, exploded like a scorching sun. A magic battle technique? Looks like you've absorbed the Qilin holy infant's energy in the end. Stupid men and women can't be trusted. Yi Xiu laughed when he saw the sun-devouring Qilin. Yun Sheng didn't smile at all. You're not allowed to mock Yi Baiming. You don't have the right. As Yun Sheng spoke, 8 rays of light shone beside her. When the 8 divine artifacts appeared at the same time, the smile on Yi Xiu's face froze. Yi Xiu, whether it's 3,000 years ago or 3,000 years later, you've lost, Yun Sheng shouted. The divine power of the 8 barons' divine artifact transformed into a terrifying giant sword that crushed the entire Qilin palace. The 9-tailed celestial fox and the 8 divine artifacts fused together. The fury of the gods was formed. When Yi Xiu saw the sword of light, he knew something was wrong. He wanted to use all his strength to escape. However, he suddenly realized that his body couldn't move. There was a repulsive force in his body. It was the last of Dugu Xiu's power that prevented him from escaping. Boom! The sword slashed down, shaking heaven and earth. Yi Xiu's face turned pale. He felt something in his body shatter. No, I can't lose to a lowly celestial fox. Even that traitor, Hu Yin, couldn't defeat me. You can't. Yi Xiu was on the verge of collapsing. You're the one who betrayed Hu Yin. That woman was still thinking about you even at the moment of her death. Yun Sheng was even more furious when she saw that Yi Xiu was still stubborn. Yi Xiu, I'll let you enter the dream and see what Hu Yin did for you back then, she chanted. Yi Xiu felt the situation around him change. He was already in an ancient tomb. Everything in the tomb looked very strange, but there was also a strange sense of familiarity. The sound of a guqin could be heard. Yun Sheng was sitting at the front. She was holding Guqin. Give up. Your celestial fox's bewitching techniques have no effect on me, Yishio. Yishio was surprised. He looked around and felt that this place was somewhat familiar. Yishio, you probably don't remember this place anymore. This is the Grand Emperor's tomb. Back then, you and Hu Yin experienced the path of the gods here. Today, I will let you experience the test from that day once again. Yin Sheng's zither music lingered in the air. That was Yishio's test. On the boundless continent, blood flowed like a river. The humans, beasts, and half-beastmen were engaged in a fierce battle. Yishio stood amidst a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. There was only madness in his eyes. Countless divine soldiers and divine generals were approaching from the sky. Yishio, you've killed countless innocent humans and half-beastmen. You've even harmed your fellow beasts. Your evil deeds have infuriated both gods and ghosts. Today, under the orders of the 4 divine emperors, I will kill you. The Black Chelan tribe will fall into the 9-layered ghost prison and never be reincarnated. Yishio's body trembled. What is this? This is the test you went through in the Grand Emperor's tomb. It's a test given to you by the God Realm. At the same time, it's also a prophecy. You're good at killing and greedy. If you occupy the boundless continent, your greed will know no bounds. You'll even slaughter other beasts. In the end, the entire mortal world will be covered in blood because of you. It will be impossible for it to recover in 10,000 years. Yin Sheng sighed. Back then, Hu Yin had also learned from the 4 cardinal deities that Yishio would commit such heinous crimes in the next 100 years. In the end, after a struggle, she finally chose to help the humans and turn the tables. The scene changed. The war between the humans and the beast had come to an end. After the Bakra orcs were defeated, Hu Yin activated the magic formation and sent the remnants of the Bakra orcs to the 8 Desolation continent. However, at that time, she was already at the end of her rope because of the damage to the celestial fox's Sarira. Yishio, I couldn't stop you in the end. Hu Yin was bleeding from all 7 orifices. There was no sadness or regret in her beautiful eyes. There was only a faint relief. Miss Hu Yin, I'll get someone to treat you immediately. The sovereign of the humans immediately ordered his subordinates to find a doctor. There's no need. I'm a doctor myself. I know very well that I won't be able to live. You don't have to feel that you owe me anything. I only hope that after I die, you can bury my remains in the Dutian blood realm and let it face the 8 Desolation continent. If it's possible, bury me with Yishio's remains. With that, Hu Yin closed her eyes forever. After Hu Yan's death, under the attack of the 8 great masters of the humans, the leaders of the 7 beast clans, including Yishio, died of exhaustion. The 8 great masters of the humans buried their remains in the Beast King's tomb. In order to thank Hu Yin, the sovereign of the humans buried Yishio's remains in front of the celestial fox's tomb. For you, Hu Yin gave up the chance to become a god. She didn't even hesitate to draw a magic formation to safely transport the Bakra orcs away. In order to keep you alive, she transferred a part of her celestial fox's Sarira's power into your remains. But what about you? You thought that she betrayed you and was blinded by hatred. You only have distrust and blame for her. Yinsheng spoke of her hatred. She truly felt that Hu Yin was unworthy. That woman with outstanding talent had silently sacrificed so much for a Yishio like him. No, how is that possible? Hu Yin, Yishio's eyes were filled with disbelief, but everything was so real. Whether Hu Yan's actions were true or not, you can go back to 8 Desolation and ask. As your shadow, the high priest already knew about this after the incident. The great witch doctor too, but they chose to hide it. Yin Sheng's words sent chills down Yishio's spine. Then Hu Yin, where is she now? Yishio looked at Yin Sheng. Her soul has already dissipated. When she transferred her last bit of celestial fox's Sarira's power into your body, she wanted to preserve some of your conscience so that you wouldn't make a huge mistake. Unfortunately, you still let her down. I've already told you everything. As for what you're going to do in the end, it's all up to you. However, If you still want to harm 8 desolation and the boundless continent, I won't let you go. Yin Sheng hugged her zither and stood above the 9 heavens like a god. The high priest was anxiously waiting for Yi Xiao at the beast god altar. When he saw Yi Xiao, he walked back dejectedly. Patriarch, did you kill that celestial fox bastard? The high priest asked impatiently. Shadow, everything she said was true. Hu Yin didn't betray me. Am I the one who let her down? Yi Xiao looked at the high priest. The high priest trembled and squeezed out an ugly smile. Patriarch, what nonsense are you talking about? Hu Yin betrayed you. Betrayed? Then what did the great witch doctor say? Yi Xiao grabbed the great witch doctor. Patriarch Yi Xiao, don't kill me. I've already given you Lady Yushang's letter. It explains everything that happened back then. The great witch doctor wanted to argue, but Yi Xiao's palm landed on his head. He screamed in agony as his brain splattered on the ground. Ha ha! Hu Yin, I'll let you down in the end. Tears streamed down Yi Xiao's face. He ignored the high priest's cries and rushed out of the Qilin palace. Chapter 1420. The battle that took place in 8 wastelands was earth-shattering. Even the God Realm knew that the first 9-tailed celestial fox had appeared in the human world. Whether it was the Black Qilin King or the 9-tailed celestial fox, they were both existences that could rival the God Realm. After that battle, the Black Qilin King Yi Xiao was defeated and his whereabouts were unknown. As for the 9-tailed celestial fox, it was rumored that she was most qualified to become a god. After the 8 wastelands and the boundless continent suffered a heavy blow, the flames of war ceased. The new world god of the human world, Bo Bo, came forward and pulled the strings between the 8 wastelands and the 4 great nations, the temple, and the elite camp of the boundless continent to sign a ceasefire agreement. The Duqian blood world that originally represented the thousands of years of hatred between the 2 major beast tribes finally completed its historical mission. The blood clouds dispersed, and the sky returned to its peaceful blue color. The original Duqian relay station also became a part of history. Now, regardless of whether it was the human race or the beast tribe, they could freely travel between the 2 continents. The hatred between the human race and the beast tribe faded with time and was gradually forgotten by both the human race and the beast tribe. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Another year of spring arrived. In an unknown mountain village in Zhou State, in front of an inconspicuous thatch house, the fiery red hemostatic flowers bloomed just in time. A pot-bellied woman was half squatting in front of the herb field. Although her body was a little inconvenient, her movements of pulling the weeds were very agile. Her golden eyes flashed, and soon, all the weeds in the herb field were pulled out. The woman raised her head and used her hand to block the bright sunlight. The sparkling and translucent sweat on her forehead made her face look like a jade plate, emitting sparkling and translucent light. Yin Sheng, I have some sweet rice wine here. You can use it during your confinement. The village chief brought a jar of rice wine and walked over with a smile. Thank you, Grandpa Village Chief. Yin Sheng smiled as she received the rice wine. Half a year ago, when Yin Sheng returned from the 8 wastelands, the blood fog on the continent dissipated. The newly developed vaccines were also distributed to the people of the continent. She rejected the invitations from Zhou State and the Dharma Temple and returned to Banana Leaf Village. Not long after she returned, she discovered that she was pregnant. After hearing the news, Hu Jiuxing and Yun Songhai both asked her to return to Taiyuan Mountain, but Yun Sheng politely refused. She stayed in Jia Village and even took over the position of magician in the village temple. She planted various herbs in the local medicine fields and selected some children with potential to learn magic. Her body was already 6 months old, and it was gradually becoming inflexible. After sending off the village head, Yun Sheng returned to her room. She put down the rice wine and walked into the inner room. The furnishings in the room were simple but neat. Yi Baiming lay quietly on the bed. Half a year ago, when the ancient forbidden curse took effect on Yi Baiming, Yunsheng obtained the last quarter of the celestial fox relic in Yi Baiming's body. However, Yi Baiming didn't die immediately. Instead, he lay there quietly like a vegetable. His breathing and pulse had almost disappeared, but his appearance was exactly the same as when he was alive. Yunsheng knew that it was possible that the life and death talisman in Yi Baiming's body had taken effect. However, he didn't wake up again. Night Fox, why aren't you waking up? Our child will be born in a little more than 3 months. From a pulse, she should be a girl. You said that our daughter's name is Yi Lingwei, Yunsheng said softly. Every day, she would wipe Yi Baiming's body, shave his newly grown stubble, and massage his muscles. This man was still as handsome as he was when he was alive. In the room, the destiny mirror shone, and Ji Rumo appeared behind Yunsheng. Yunsheng, don't be too sad. You have to think about the child in your stomach. Seeing Yunsheng's appearance, Ji Rumo couldn't help but feel sad. However, he knew that Yunsheng wouldn't listen to him. Rumo, I have a feeling that he can hear what I say. Yunsheng smiled and wiped away the tears at the corner of her eyes. She placed Yi Baiming's hand on her bulging stomach and gently caressed it. Night Fox, listen. Our child is already kicking her stomach. She's even stronger than the average boy. With that, she smiled sweetly. Ji Rumo sighed and glanced at the silent Yi Baiming again before quietly disappearing into the destiny mirror. Yunsheng said softly. In the end, she leaned against Yi Baiming's side and fell into a deep sleep. Night Fox, our daughter is called Yi Lingwei. Yunsheng's voice kept echoing. In some unknown space that was filled with chaos, Yi Baiming was wandering around, looking for an exit. Ever since he and Yunsheng had been together, he had become like this. He didn't know where he was now. He also didn't know how Yunsheng was doing on the Boundless Continent. However, no matter how hard he searched, he couldn't find the exit of this chaotic area. Give up. People who use the power of the life and death talisman will never be able to walk out of here. A man appeared in front of him. You are. Yi Baiming looked at the melancholy man in front of him. Me? I'm the previous owner of the life and death talisman. The man looked dignified, but his complexion wasn't very good. There was a hint of worry between his brows. The previous owner of the life and death talisman. That was the person that Popo had mentioned earlier. The first human to obtain the life and death talisman. His lover had been demoted to a human because of him, and he had been trapped in the god realm forever. But hadn't he already become a god? Why was he still here? The area we are in now is a special space opened up by the life and death talisman. It's called the life and death chaos. Since we are all willing to sacrifice ourselves for our loved ones, in the endless years to come, we will all be wandering around here like ghosts. We won't die, won't be destroyed, and won't be reincarnated. The man's voice carried a hint of melancholy. No, I'm different from you. I'm not willing to sacrifice myself for my lover. Yi Baiming's words stunned the man. Not willing? Then why did you activate the power of the life and death talisman to enter here? The man's ghost had always been in the life and death talisman. He had seen Yi Baiming activate the life and death talisman and become half dead. Back then, he had also prayed to the supreme divinity and sacrificed himself to be trapped here in order to save a chance to reincarnate for the woman he loved, the female master god who had created the life and death talisman. Since we want to live together, why ask for death? My woman may seem strong, but she is also very fragile. I promised her that I would accompany her until the very end. A gentleman's promise is worth 1,000 gold. I will never leave her. Yi Baiming smiled faintly. The conviction in his eyes burned the man's eyes. Since we want to live together, why ask for death? Back then, he and his lover had also given up because they felt that it was difficult to violate the rules of the gods. If they could have persevered a little longer back then. You are the person with the strongest conviction I have ever met. I have been trapped here for thousands of years, but I have never met someone like you. Perhaps I can help you return to your lover's side, but you will have to pay a certain price. The man's ghost was enlightened after hearing Yi Baiming's words. What price? Before Yi Baiming could finish speaking, He felt as if his body was being sucked in by a strong suction force. His body was falling down like a cloud. I hope that in the future, you will not blame me. In the midst of the chaos, he only heard the man say faintly. The night was quiet. Yinsheng felt her face itch. It was as if something had brushed past the corner of her eyes. That was the man's slightly trembling, warm lips. She heard a dreamy sigh. The night was as cold as water, but the man's voice was mellow like a pot of intoxicating wine. Little wildcat, I am back. Chapter 1421. Several days had passed since Yi Biming woke up. Ever since Yi Biming woke up, Yunsheng's mood improved a lot. She ate and slept well every day, and her stomach grew bigger day by day. By the time she was 7 months pregnant, her stomach was already bigger than a full-term pregnant woman's stomach. In order to prevent a difficult birth in the future, as a modern person with modern medical knowledge, Yunsheng knew that at this time, she had to exercise appropriately. For example, she had to take a walk. Therefore, every morning and evening, Yunsheng would run to the village for a walk. Little wild cat, it's almost time to give birth. Don't wander around in the medicinal field. Therefore, every day, a scene would appear in Banana Leaf Village. A tall and handsome man nervously followed beside a pregnant woman with a shockingly big belly. He was like an old hen, protecting her from front and back, afraid that she would accidentally bump into something. Night Fox, how many times have I told you? There are still a few months to the due date. Are you the doctor, or am I the doctor? Yinsheng held her stomach and said unhappily. She was only 7 months pregnant. It was still early for her to give birth. When the villagers saw this, they all pursed their lips and smiled. One of them was protecting the other, and the other was baring his fangs and brandishing his claws. Everyone was already used to it. However, an accident still happened. One night, Yunsheng suddenly felt a terrible pain in her stomach. By the time Yi Biming realized that something was wrong, her water had already broken. Yunsheng, don't be nervous. I'll go get a doctor now. Even someone like Yi Biming, who didn't even frown when killing people on the battlefield, was a loss at this time. Come back. Where are we going to find a doctor? In the entire Banana Leaf Village, I'm the only doctor. Yunsheng felt that her lower body was wet. Looking at Yi Biming's appearance, she wanted to cry, but had no tears. What should we do? Little wildcat, can you deliver the baby yourself? Yi Biming's usual black-bellied cleverness was nowhere to be found. Idiot, haven't you heard of the saying, a doctor doesn't treat himself? Yinsheng was in so much pain that she grabbed Yi Biming's hand tightly. I'll take you to the city immediately. Yi Biming's mind was filled with thoughts of teleportation and flying. Which will be faster? I can't hold on any longer. I'm about to give birth. Go and call Ji Rumo out. Yinsheng's mind was still clear. Ji Rumo was a light magician. His light magic should have some effect on pain and stopping bleeding. Ji Rumo. Yi Biming shuddered. His muddled mind immediately cleared up. No, why is that brat interfering when you're giving birth? Yi Biming was instantly enraged. The damned heavenly fate mirror was hard to guard against. You should have buried the mirror in a hole long ago. Damned fox, I'm going to die from the pain. Yinsheng no longer had the strength to reason with this jealous guy. Tell me the steps. I'll deliver the baby. Yi Biming was hot-headed. He rolled up his sleeves. Wasn't it just delivering a baby? He was the regent of Great Zhou. He could govern the country with his literary skills and stabilize the country with his military skills. He didn't believe that he couldn't do such a simple thing as delivering a baby well. Yinsheng was speechless. This jealous night fox really wanted to kill her brain at a time like this. However, there was no other way now. Fortunately, she had already asked someone to create a set of surgical tools for her convenience. It was more than enough to deliver a baby. Half an hour passed. When the loud cry of a baby came from the room, Yi Biming and Yunsheng heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. Yi Biming also heaved a sigh of relief. According to Yunsheng's instructions, he cut the umbilical cord and tied a knot. Night Fox, I didn't expect you to be so talented in medicine. Yunsheng was a little weak, but she was still in good spirits. Seeing that Yi Baiming didn't reply, Yin Sheng was a little puzzled. What's wrong? Is the baby a boy or a girl? Although Yin Sheng already knew that she was pregnant with a girl, Yi Baiming's reaction made her feel a little uneasy. It's a very beautiful baby girl, but Yi Baiming stared at the little girl in his arms. This was the first time Yi Baiming was holding a newborn baby. The little girl couldn't be said to be good-looking at this moment. Because she was born prematurely, she only weighed 6 pounds. Her skin was red and wrinkled like a kitten. She didn't look beautiful at all. But even so, in Yi Baiming's eyes, she was the most beautiful baby in the world. Because this was his daughter, his and Yun Sheng's daughter. The subtle feeling of being connected by blood made him feel an indescribable excitement in his heart. But this excitement instantly sank when he saw the thing on the baby's arm. Yi Baiming's hand trembled slightly. There's a mark of life and death on her body. Ji Rumo came out of the destiny mirror. If it were any other time, Yi Baiming would have shouted at him to go back to where he came from and not disturb their family of 3. But now, he couldn't say anything. What? Yin Sheng didn't care about her body that had just given birth and struggled to get up. Yi Baiming hurriedly carried the baby over and motioned for her not to force herself to get up. Yin Sheng looked over. Just as Ji Rumo said, there was a life and death talisman on the arm of Yun Sheng's newborn daughter. This life and death talisman was the one that Yun Sheng had implanted in Yi Baiming's body a long time ago. Why was the life and death talisman still there? Yi Baiming had always thought that the life and death talisman had disappeared after he used its power to resist the ancient Qilin forbidden spell. But why would this life and death talisman, which sucked a person's magic power and battle energy, appear on little Ling Yu's body? Could it be that I harmed our daughter? Yi Baiming thought back to that day. In the chaos of life and death, he met the man who was also the first owner of the life and death talisman. When he sent Yi Baiming away, he said, I hope you won't blame me in the future. I'm afraid it's just as you suspected. In order to help you wake up, the previous owner of the life and death talisman transferred the power of the life and death talisman to little Ling Yu. Little Ling Yu's premature birth was probably because of the life and death talisman. Ji Rumo went forward to check on little Ling Yu's body. But you two don't have to worry. Other than being a premature baby and being a little weak, the little girl's body is very healthy. The results of Ji Rumo's examination made Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming sigh in relief. It's all my fault. If it wasn't for me, Yi Baiming blamed himself. Night Fox, this has nothing to do with you. You didn't know that the life and death talisman would be transferred to Ling Yu's body. Yun Sheng saw that Yi Baiming was blaming himself and gently held his hand. But the life and death talisman is still a sorcery item. As long as it stays in her body, it will be a hidden danger. Can I use surgery to remove it when Ling Yu is a little older? Yin Sheng looked at the life and death talisman with melancholy in her eyes. I'm afraid that's not possible. If I'm not wrong, this life and death talisman has already mutated. It's branded in Ling Yu's soul and cannot be removed. However, as long as she doesn't use magic power or battle energy in the future, she shouldn't be able to activate the life and death talisman's power. Ji Rumo's words made Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming feel relieved but worried at the same time. If that was the case, wouldn't their daughter be unable to cultivate magic or battle energy for the rest of her life? Chapter 1422. Before she was 3 years old, little Ling Yu was considered the happiest child in the entire continent. Her father and mother were the most respected couple in the entire Banana Leaf Village. Her parents were the best looking in the entire village. Not only that, her father knew Dookie and her mother knew magic. In the words of the villagers, little Ling Yu's parents were awesome. However, what little Ling Yu was most proud of was that her father and mother were very loving. Ever since little Ling Yu could remember, she had never seen her parents fight. As long as her mother was unhappy, her father would coax and lie to her. He would either secretly pull her mother into the room to play kisses or bring her mother to the roof to look at the stars. In any case, Little Ling Yu's family had never had any conflicts between uncles and aunts in the village. Not only that, her mother also had many friends. They would come to Banana Leaf Village as guests from time to time. Every time they came, they would bring many fun and delicious things for little Ling Yu. However, the happy Ling Yu had a small flaw. She couldn't learn magic and duki like the other children in the village. Her mother said that her body wasn't suitable for learning magic and duki. When she first found out about this, little Ling Yu was sad for a while. But soon, she forgot about it because she realized that she was different from ordinary people. Although she didn't know magic or do chi, she had a special ability. Little Ling Yu had only discovered this little ability of hers by chance. As her mother was the only doctor and magician in the village, her father often had to help her mother gather herbs in the mountains and enter the city to sell them. Most of the time, little Ling Yu spent in the village. She played with the other children in the fields. That day, she was playing with Xiao Chui and Changzi. They were playing happily by the fields when suddenly, Xiao Chui started crying. It turned out that a large python had swam out of the fields. That python wasn't small at all. It was even thicker than little Ling Yu's thigh. Xiao Chui and Changzi were so scared that they didn't dare to move. Go and get my mother. Little Ling Yu was also scared out of her wits. However, she knew that she had to protect her friends at this time. The large python slithered and pounced towards little Ling Yu. In a moment of desperation, little Ling Yu's heart skipped a beat. A stone flew into the air. By the time little Ling Yu reacted, her mother had already rushed over with a group of villagers. Ling Yu, Yunsheng was shocked when she saw the python in the field. The python's triangular head had already been smashed into smithereens, and it had long since stopped breathing. She then looked at her daughter. She was so scared that her little body was curled up into a ball. In order to prevent herself from crying, her daughter bit her lips tightly. Ling Yu, tell mother, what exactly is going on? Yunsheng's heart was filled with regret. She was busy with the village's matters and almost let her daughter get hurt. Niangqin, I don't know either. I only know that when the python pounced on me, I was very scared. I just wanted to hit it with a rock. Little Lingwe hugged her mother's neck, feeling warm and safe. That night, when Yi Biming returned home, Yunsheng told Yi Biming what had happened during the day. Night Fox, I'm worried that my daughter inherited my magic or your battle aura talent. That rock that was used to kill the python weighed at least 60 to 70 kilograms. Even the villagers in the village would have a hard time lifting it. Yunsheng was very anxious. Due to the life and death talisman, she could only harden her heart and not let her daughter learn magic or battle aura. In order to not let her daughter suffer, she would rather stay in the isolated Banana Leaf Village and be an ordinary couple with Yi Biming. In these 2 to 3 years, their family of 3 had lived very happily. Little Wildcat, don't let your imagination run wild. I've already checked little Ling Yue's Dantian. There's no battle aura or magic waves in her Dantian. Yi Biming comforted his wife. Father, mother, do you think Ling Yu used magic or battle aura? No, Ling Yu only thought about it, and that rock flew into the air. Just like this. Yi Lingwei still didn't know that her parents were worried about her special ability. She was like a child who had found a treasure and was eager to show off her abilities to her parents. She thought for a moment, and the illumination spell in the house was extinguished. During this time, Yunsheng and Yi Biming indeed didn't feel any magic or battle aura waves. Yunsheng and Yi Biming were shocked. It was obvious that there was a mysterious power in their daughter's body that neither of them knew about. In the next few days, Yunsheng and Yi Biming asked around and finally, they found some useful information from Supreme God Four Directions. The special power in little Ling Yue's body was indeed not magic or battle aura. It was an ancient power that had been circulating since the ancient times of the realm of the gods. It was called spiritual power. Little Ling Yue's spiritual power was most likely related to the life and death talisman in her soul. However, Supreme God Four Directions couldn't be sure if little Ling Yue's spiritual power would be activated after she used it. Supreme God Four Directions gave Yunsheng and her husband a seal. After some discussion, Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming decided to temporarily seal the spiritual power in little Ling Yue's body. Little wildcat, aren't we being too cruel by doing this? Yi Baiming looked at his daughter's sleeping face with a worried expression. I don't know if it's right or wrong to let our daughter continue to be an ordinary person. Although Ling Yu has never mentioned Night Fox, she is a very proud child. I've secretly seen her outside the temple a few times, watching the children in the village learn magic. Yun Sheng sighed. Other than a few people, very few people knew that Yun Sheng had experienced a very tragic childhood. Before the age of 6, Yun Sheng couldn't learn magic or battle aura for a period of time. If it wasn't for the fact that she had an unyielding adult soul in her body, she would have lived in inferiority and pain throughout her childhood. Don't worry, our daughter has me and you, as well as the 2 little brothers in your stomach. Her future will be like the bright moon in the sky. She will always have our protection. As Yi Baiming spoke, he gently caressed Yun Sheng's slightly bulging stomach. He also just found out that he was going to be a father again. When Yi Lingyue woke up the next day and heard her mother say that she was going to be an elder sister, the little girl was overjoyed. As a result, when she was happy, she forgot about the fact that she had spiritual power. She liked to circle around her mother every day, hoping that the stars would shine and the moon would shine, calculating when the 2 little brothers would be born. However, when Yun Sheng was 4 months pregnant, something happened that completely changed the peaceful life of Yun Sheng's family of 3. Chapter 1423. The story started when Yun Sheng and her husband lived in seclusion in Banana Leaf Village. One day, a man and a woman came to Banana Leaf Village. How should this couple be described? The woman had a head of pink hair and was energetic like a scorching sun. She was incomparably enthusiastic. As soon as she entered the village, she rushed in with familiarity. Together with her was a black-haired man. That man's appearance aside, just a glance from his long and narrow eyes could freeze a person to death. The 2 of them, one hot and one cold, walking together naturally attracted the attention of many people. Look at the 2 of them walking and talking. No, to be precise, it was the pink-haired woman who kept talking. Ming Ri, this is the small mountain village where I unlocked the seal. I miss this place so much. I haven't been back here for many years. I wonder how old little Ling Yu is. The affairs of the human world are too troublesome. I didn't even get to drink little Ling Yu's 1-month celebration. I wonder how Master is doing. Has she gained weight or lost weight? I miss Master so much. I really miss the old days. The pink-haired woman kept talking. Her enthusiasm was even greater than that of the 8 ants in the village. The villagers passing by couldn't help but look sideways. When did such a person live in Banana Leaf Village? However, when the woman spoke, the man beside her only listened quietly. Occasionally, he would reveal a smile. Looking at the direction the 2 of them were heading in, it was the home of the village's model couple, Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming. At this time, the couple happened to be at home. As soon as they arrived outside the Yun family's house, they saw a tall man with a round and jade-like little girl sitting on his shoulder. "Daddy, charge forward." The little girl was like a general on the battlefield. With a wave of her small hand, Yi Baiming, who was treated as a horse, immediately rushed forward. That scene was really very disharmonious. After successfully becoming a slave to his wife, Yi Baiming, the dignified war god of Zhou State, successfully advanced to become a slave to his daughter. Both Bobo and Ming Ri were stunned. Who would have thought that Yi Baiming, who was feared by both the people and the underworld, would be ordered around by a little girl? "Father, turn right. The target is the pink-haired enemy." Yi Baiming was having a lot of fun with his daughter. When he heard about pink hair, he couldn't help but raise his head. He saw Ming Ri with his mouth wide open and an awkward expression on his face. Yi Baiming, on the other hand, had a calm look on his face. He did not feel embarrassed at all as he carried his daughter down. "Go back to the house and see if your mother is awake. Tell her that your Aunt Bobo and Uncle Ming Ri are here to see her." Yi Baiming hadn't seen Bobo and Ming Ri for several years. Before Yun Sheng went into seclusion, Bo Bo, with the help of Ming Ri, managed to reconcile the 8 wastelands and the boundless world. Bo Bo, the universe deity, was so busy that he was nowhere to be seen. As for Ming Ri, wherever Bo Bo was, there would be Ming Ri. Yi Baiming wasn't surprised that he appeared here. After a while, Yun Sheng walked out of the house. When they saw Bo Bo, both of them let out a cry of surprise. Ying, my dear master. When Bo Bo saw Yun Sheng, he didn't care about his image as a universe deity. Just like when he was young, he pounced on Yun Sheng. Little Ling Yu, who was watching at the side, felt strange. Why was this weird Annie with pink hair more like a child than her when she was 3 years old? Ming Ri, we haven't seen each other for a long time. You two go in first. Yi Baiming knew that since Yun Sheng and Bo Bo met, they must have endless things to talk about. He smiled and invited Ming Ri into the house. After Ming Ri entered the house, he looked around. Although it was simple, the decorations were very warm. Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming were really affectionate. The two of them had done so many things for the boundless world and the 8 wastelands, but in the end, they pushed away all the glory and lived in seclusion in the mountains. However, such a life made Ming Ri slightly envious. At least, Yi Baiming had Yun Sheng and little Ling Yu. To him, the happiness of his wife and daughter was far more important than anything else. After Yun Sheng and Bo Bo chatted for a while, she pulled little Ling Yu over. Ling Yu, this is your Auntie Bo. She is Mother's good sister. Back then, she accompanied Mother through life and death on the continent. The friendship between Yun Sheng and Bo Bo was something that ordinary people couldn't understand. During the most difficult times for both of them, they gritted their teeth and persevered together. Auntie Bo Bo, give me a hug. Little Ling Yu wasn't shy and sweetly called her Auntie. Little Ling Yu is so obedient. Sigh, look at how careless your Auntie Bo Bo is. I actually forgot to bring a greeting gift. Bo Bo's face was gloomy as she thought about it. Little Ling Yu, how about this? Auntie Bo Bo will give you an uninhabited primitive continent and let you be the landlord. Uninhabited continent? Landlord? What was that? Little Ling Yu's little head still couldn't wrap around it. Thank you, Auntie Bo Bo. I love being the landlord the most. However, little Ling Yu was very quick-witted and quickly nodded her head like she was pounding garlic. When Bo Bo and her daughter said that, Yi Baiming and Yun Sheng couldn't help but laugh, giving an uninhabited continent as a greeting gift. Such words were really typical of Bo Bo's style. However, only a human world deity, Bo Bo, would be able to give such a greeting gift. Although little Ling Yu didn't know what was going on, seeing how happy her parents were, she knew that it must be something good. She quickly kissed Bo Bo's face as a form of thanks. Bo Bo, stop fooling around. Don't forget that you're not a world deity yet. If the deity emperor of the deity world finds out about this, you'll be impeached again. Ming Ri was also very helpless about the kiss. With such a big method of kissing, if Yun Sheng gave birth to 8 or 10 more, wouldn't she have to give the entire human world away? Not a world deity yet? What's going on? Bo Bo, aren't you already a world deity? Yun Sheng heard that and felt that something was definitely wrong. Yun Sheng clearly remembered that a few years ago, Bo Bo had accumulated a large amount of power of belief. In the final world deity selection, she defeated her competitors and became a true human world deity. How could she not be a world deity yet? Ming Ri, I told you to stop talking. Bo Bo glared at Ming Ri. She originally wanted to discuss this matter with her master, but when she arrived at Banana Leaf Village, she found out that her master was pregnant again. So she changed her mind and didn't plan to tell Yun Sheng about going to the deity world. Bo Bo, we're all on the same side. If you have something to say, just say it. Yi Baiming knew that Yun Sheng and Bo Bo were like sisters. Bo Bo's matter was Yun Sheng's matter. If Bo Bo wants to become a world deity, she must go to the deity world to accept the conferment. Originally, I planned to accompany her to the deity world, but during this period of time, the underworld isn't peaceful and I can't leave for a while. Ming Ri was worried that the confused world deity Bo Bo would go to the deity world alone, so he wanted to come to Banana Leaf Village to find Yun Sheng. Although Yun Sheng was a human, She had evolved into a nine-tailed celestial fox in the battle with Black Qilan Wang Yixio. She had the body of a beast god and could enter the deity world. However, Yin Sheng was pregnant again. How could her body withstand the journey? I see. I can't go with you. Then let Night Fox go with you. He also has the body of a demigod and can enter the deity world too. Yin Sheng heard and thought for a while. Then she had an idea. That won't do. Master, you're pregnant with twins this time. It's inconvenient for your body. The Qilan boy must accompany you. Bobo quickly rejected. Bobo, you underestimate me. Moreover, I'm not alone. I still have the magical beasts in the beast language ring and little Ling Yu to accompany me. Yun Sheng glanced at Yi Baiming. Yi Baiming understood and immediately expressed that he could escort Bobo to the deity world to accept the conferment of a world deity. Chapter 1424. Before Yi Baiming left, little Ling Yu was still reluctant to part with him. Ling Yu, you just have to wait until the blood-clotting flowers bloom in the herb field. Then, you'll be able to see Daddy coming back. Yi Baiming smiled as he bid farewell to his daughter. He calculated the journey back and forth. 1 month should be enough for him to return from the realm of the gods. Yi Baiming and Popo left for a month. The child in Yun Sheng's stomach was already 5 months old, but there was still no news from Yi Baiming. This made Yun Sheng even more uneasy. She tried to contact the Underworld Sun, but even the Underworld Sun was cut off. Logically speaking, Popo should have already arrived at the realm of the gods and received the title of World God. Day after day of waiting made Yun Sheng restless. Mother, Daddy isn't back yet. Didn't he say that he'll come back when the blood-clotting flowers bloom in the herb field? Little Ling Yu hugged her mother's hand and swayed it back and forth. Children were very observant. Little Ling Yu also realized that after Daddy left, there was no one to play horse riding with her. There was also no one to make her mother happy. These few days, there was no smile on her mother's face. Sigh. She wanted Daddy to come back soon. Daddy will be back soon. Yun Sheng forced a smile and patted her daughter's head. Another half a month passed. The blood-clotting flowers in the herb field had all been harvested, but Yi Baiming still hadn't come back. Yun Sheng couldn't wait any longer. She had no choice but to contact the Netherworld Ghost King. The Underworld God isn't in the Netherworld. The Netherworld Ghost King soon brought back a piece of bad news. About a month ago, which was half a month after Yi Baiming left, the Underworld God suddenly left the Netherworld Palace. When he left, he took 100,000 Netherworld soldiers with him. Something must have happened. The ominous feeling in Yun Sheng's heart intensified. Disciple, how about I secretly make a trip to the God Realm and ask around? The Netherworld Ghost King saw Yun Sheng's big belly and was afraid that her body would collapse due to excessive worry. No, Ghost King, you have some grudges with the God Realm. Besides, with your status, it's not appropriate for you to appear in the God Realm. I want to go there personally. Yin Sheng had been thinking about it for a few days. Even the usually calm Ming Ri would bring the Ming army to the God Realm. Something must have happened in the God Realm. But your body now... The Netherworld Ghost King looked at Yun Sheng's belly, which was twice the size of an average person's. She was only 5.5 months pregnant, but she already looked like she was about to give birth. Not to mention, Yun Sheng still wanted to bring little Ling Yu with her to the God Realm. My body is fine. This is already my second child. As for little Ling Yu, she has always been obedient. Coincidentally, I know of a secret magic array that leads to the God Realm. After making her decision, Yun Sheng returned to Banana Leaf Village and explained to her daughter that she was going to look for her father. Mother, we just have to enter this magic array, and we'll be able to see Father? Little Ling Yu was confused as she followed her mother onto the God Realm's treasure ship. The ship was flying in the sky, and below it was a boundless sea of clouds. Little Ling Yu gathered her courage and looked down. Banana Leaf Village had already changed into a Xiaohei the size of an ant. It was much taller than the time when her father brought her and her mother to the rooftop to look at the stars. There were only 2 ways to go from the human world to the God Realm. One was through the path of the gods, and the other was through a magic array. The only path of the gods in the boundless continent opened once every 3,000 years. That time, Yin Sheng and Yi Baiming opened it together. After the two of them missed that opportunity, the next time the path of the gods opened would be another 3,000 years. Therefore, Yin Sheng could only go to the god realm through a magic array. That magic array was left behind by the Beast King from the previous time. Yin Sheng still managed to find out the whereabouts of that magic array from demigod Qing Cheng. Yes, as long as we pass through that magic array, we'll be able to see Father very soon. Yin Sheng comforted her daughter. Although she said that, Yin Sheng wasn't very confident in her heart. What was the celestial realm like? Could the magic array really send them there? None of this was certain. Insolent human, how dare you trespass into the god realm? Just as Yin Sheng's treasure ship passed through the magic array and entered the god realm, a thunderous roar came from the sky. Suddenly, a thunderous roar resounded in the sky, and a fireball appeared in the sky, striking towards the divine world's treasured ship. Yin Sheng didn't panic. A beautiful divine lotus fire appeared between her fingers and shot out. Seeing the divine lotus fire, a strange sound came from the ball of fire. Then, the ball of fire landed on the treasure ship, and a divine beast walked out from it. When they saw each other clearly, the divine beast and Yin Sheng were both shocked. Bayan? Little girl? Coincidentally, the guardian of this magic array was actually the divine beast Bayan that Yin Sheng had met in the smelted geocentric cave when she was still a little girl. At that time, the two of them had only met once. Because Yin Sheng had cured Bayan's tooth disease, Bayan had gifted her divine lotus fire after Yin Sheng had passed the test. Unexpectedly, the two of them met again in the god realm. Little girl, I haven't seen you for a few years. You actually purified the divine lotus fire into divine lotus fire? That little girl beside you is your daughter. She's really like you. Both of you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Although Bayan was a divine beast, he had an ugly face. He sized up little Lingyu. Unexpectedly, little Lingyu wasn't afraid when she saw him. She even boldly tried to pull Bayan's tail. Bayan was so shocked that his eyes widened. Senior Bayan, I'm really sorry. I didn't know that you were the one guarding this magic array. I had no choice but to barge into the god realm. Yin Sheng told him about how she came to the god realm to look for her husband. What? Your husband is Yi Baiming? Good boy, that guy and the god of the underworld, Ming Ri, are famous people in the god realm. Bayan's eyes widened when he heard that. It turned out that more than a month ago, Yi Baiming escorted Bo to the god realm to receive his title. Before entering the god realm, everything was peaceful. But on the day before Popo was about to be conferred the title, Popo was taken away. Yi Baiming contacted Ming Ri, and the two of them immediately started an investigation. In the end, they found out that Bobo had been kidnapped by Shi Sanqian, the clan leader of the Shi clan, who had failed to be selected, and a priest from the human world. The two imprisoned Bobo in the Shi clan's forbidden grounds. They wanted to kill Bobo and steal her divine body. Human realm priest? Yin Sheng immediately thought of a person. That was the beast god Altar's high priest. After Yi Xiu disappeared, the beast god Altar's high priest's whereabouts were also unknown. Who would have thought that he actually came to the god realm and colluded with the failed Shi Sanqian? In that case, the beast king who committed crimes in the human realm was the Shi Sanqian. Shi Sanqian was a descendant of the ancient god clan. The power behind him was one of the four great god emperors, Emperor Fenggu. Ming Ri and Yi Baiming originally wanted to directly report this to Emperor Yin Yan, but Emperor Fenggu was obstructing them. Ming Ri and Yi Baiming were worried that Bo would meet with misfortune. In their anger, the two gathered 100,000 underworld soldiers and killed their way to the God-Falling Plains where the Shi clan was located. At this moment, the underworld army and the Shi clan's army are still fighting in the God-Falling Plains. Bayan sighed as he spoke. Senior Bayan, can you bring me to the God-Falling Plains? I must find Yi Baiming. Yin Sheng was very anxious. She begged Bayan. Bayan looked at Yin Sheng's big belly and the little girl beside her. He couldn't help but feel compassion. He He brought the mother and daughter to the god-falling plains. Chapter 1425. The fallen god plains used to be a large plain with lush grass. However, ever since the battle between the Netherworld Lords and the Shi clan started, the entire Pingyun was bathed in heavy killing intent. The sky was dark, as if there were countless dark clouds in the sky. Lightning could be seen flashing in the sky. It wasn't magic, but magic power and Do Qi clashing against each other. Yinsheng looked over. It was a battle of life and death between 100,000 divine soldiers and the Netherworld guards. This battle was caused by the selfish desires of Shi Sanqian and the High Priest. It would definitely cause the Shi clan, who had tens of thousands of years of history, to suffer. She saw the Netherworld sun turn into a ray of light and rush towards the Shi clan's forbidden grounds. There were 2 or 3 familiar auras in the forbidden grounds. One of them was Bo, and the other was the High Priest in the sky. There were 2 powerful auras, one black and one gray, that clashed with each other from time to time. They were Yi Baiming and Shi Sanqian. Divine soldiers fell from the sky from time to time. The entire battlefield was like an azure hell. There were broken limbs everywhere. Yin Sheng was worried that her daughter would be frightened, so she didn't dare to enter the battlefield. Lingyue, mother's going to look for father. You stay here for the time being. Remember, don't leave the magic array that mother drew for you. If you really encounter any danger, use the heavenly fate mirror. There will be an uncle inside to protect you. Whether mother finds father or not, I will rush back in 3 days. Yin Sheng's heart clenched tightly as she looked at the increasingly intense battle. Yin Sheng drew a magic array. In order to protect little Lingyue, she specially left the heavenly fate mirror and 3 days' worth of food for little Lingyue. This magic array could hide little Lingyue's aura. As long as little Lingyue didn't walk out of the magic array, no one would discover her. Mother, Lingyue will definitely be obedient. I will wait for you and father to come back. Little Lingyue watched her mother leave and obediently stayed in place. A day passed. The battle in the sky was still ongoing, but father and mother still hadn't returned. Little Lingyue didn't have much of an appetite either. Although she didn't know what was going on, she vaguely knew that her parents must be in a difficult situation. She had to obediently wait here and not cause any trouble for her parents. At that moment, 2 figures appeared on the battlefield ahead. They were 2 people, one big and one small. The older one was a woman covered in blood. She was carrying a 6 or 7-year-old boy in her arms. The boy was also injured and his face was covered in blood. The woman was already heavily injured. Before she could reach the magic array, she staggered and fell to the ground. The little boy also fell to the ground. Mother, what's wrong? The little boy was also injured. He struggled to get up and groped his way to the woman's side. Little Lingyue had been practicing medicine with her mother since she was young. When she saw this scene, she subconsciously wanted to help. Just as she was about to step out of the magic array, the heavenly fate mirror flashed and a man appeared. Little Lingyue, you can't. Ji Rumo appeared. Ji Rumo wasn't a cold-hearted person. If it was any other time, he would also ask little Lingyue to help, but things were different now. The time wasn't right, and the place wasn't right. This was the God's Fall Plains. In front of them was the Shi tribe's territory. The Shi tribe and Dark Lord were engaged in a battle of life and death. This mother and son pair were obviously Shi tribe members. Furthermore, the boy had a handsome face, and the woman's clothes made it obvious that she was not an ordinary person. Ji Rumo couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't hurt little Lingyue. Since Yun Sheng asked him to stay by Lingyue's side, even if there was a trace of threat, he wouldn't let little Lingyue walk out of the magic array. But Uncle Rumo, they look so pitiful. That woman, she will die. Little Lingyue looked at the mother and son pair sympathetically. She had followed her mother around and had seen many patients. That woman was probably injured by a powerful magic array. She had walked for a long time and couldn't take it anymore. Little Lingyue, life and death are fated. This is her fate. Ji Rumo's gaze landed on the little boy. For some reason, when he saw the little boy, he had a very bad premonition in his heart. A blurry image appeared in Ji Rumo's mind. Shi Jui, if I, Yi Lingyue, have a next life, I will make you pay with your blood. The woman, whose eyes were filled with despair, fell into the bottomless abyss. The woman's image overlapped with little Lingyu's. Ji Rumo's heart shook. The image disappeared. Ji Rumo had an urge to take little Lingyu and leave. The farther away they were from the boy, the better. He had a strong premonition that the boy would bring misfortune to little Lingyu. However, little Lingyu didn't listen to Ji Rumo. She was still looking at the mother and son in front of her. On the desolate God's Fall plains, the boy crawled to his mother's side with great difficulty. Jui, mother can't make it anymore. Remember, you must live well. Don't take revenge. All of this is your father's fault. The woman opened her eyes with difficulty and raised her hand to touch her son's face. Her eyes were filled with sorrow. If it wasn't for her husband's desire for power, their family of 3 would be very happy. Unfortunately, it was all too late. Before the woman could finish speaking, she couldn't catch her breath. Her hand slipped to the ground and gradually lost its warmth. Mother, don't abandon you. The boy was like an injured wolf cub. A desperate cry came from his throat. Gone, there was nothing left. Father, mother, and all of his clansmen, they were all dead. Why? Why was he the only one who was still alive? Hugging his mother's already cold body, the little boy cried himself hoarse. In the end, he only felt his vision go black, and his small body fell to the ground. The moment he fell, he felt a soft hand supporting him. Lingyu, Ji Rumo sighed helplessly. He saw that Yi Lingyue still ignored his advice and rushed into the magic array. Uncle Rumo, he fainted. Can we think of a way to save him? Little Lingyu looked anxiously at the unconscious boy with a nervous expression. Could it be that everything is fate? Ji Rumo couldn't resist little Lingyu's pleas and brought her to a god race village 5 kilometers away. In order not to worry her mother, little Lingyu even left a letter in a magic array. After doing all this, little Lingyu finally felt at ease and followed Ji Rumo to the god race's ancient village. Many years later, when Ji Rumo recalled what happened back then, he couldn't help but sigh. If he had been more determined back then, or if he had hardened his heart and killed the fledgling Shi Jui, perhaps Yi Lingyue would still be the happy Yi Lingyue that she used to be. However, everything was destined. The gears of fate had already begun to turn. Chapter 1426. The next day, the little boy that Yi Lingyue saved finally woke up. After he woke up, he didn't say a word and just stared blankly. He couldn't see his surroundings and didn't want to talk to the people around him. It was as if he was in a protective shell that didn't allow him to come into contact with the outside world and didn't allow anyone to touch him. After realizing that the little boy couldn't see clearly, little Lingyue was very nervous. Ji Rumo could only tell little Lingyue that it was because he was too sad. After a while, his eyes would recover. You're awake. You've been hungry for the whole day. Do you want to eat something? My mother said that when a patient wakes up, he should drink some sugar and salt water first, then eat some porridge. Little Lingyue was worried that he wouldn't be able to take it if he didn't eat or drink, so she walked over with a bowl of water. Go away. Hearing the word mother, the little boy suddenly got angry and pushed little Lingyue away. Little Lingyue wasn't prepared and fell to the ground. She had been doted on by her parents since she was young. When had she ever been treated so cruelly? She pouted and wanted to cry. However, at this moment, the sound of sobbing came from the bed. The little boy choked and bit his lip, trying his best not to cry. His father said that the men of the Shi tribe were indomitable men. Even if he bled to the last drop, he couldn't cry. Little brother, don't cry. Uncle Rumo has already cremated your mother. This is her ashes. Little Lingyue saw that he was crying so sadly that she was embarrassed to cry. All right, compared to her little brother, she only had a few scratches. She would be fine after licking it with her saliva. Feeling sorry for herself, little Lingyu stuffed an urn of ashes into the little boy's hands. The little boy stopped crying and hugged the urn tightly in his hands. Why aren't you saying anything? Is it because you're unhappy? Little Lingyue glanced at her little brother from the side. Seeing that he was still silent, she thought for a moment, then suddenly leaned forward and gave the little boy a peck on his face. "What are you doing?" Even though he couldn't see from the sound, the little boy knew that the person who saved him was a little girl younger than him. He was already 7 years old, so he vaguely knew that there was some common sense between men and women. Kissing was something that only people who were very close to each other could do. Thinking of this, the little boy blushed. "Whenever my mother is unhappy, my father will kiss her to make her happy," little Lingyue said innocently. "Are you happier now?" Little Lingyu's voice was soft and sweet. It was like a beautiful song in his ears, causing the originally gloomy little boy's heart to soften a little. Before the upheaval, he was an obedient child. "I'm better now. Thank you. My name is Shijui." In the future, you can't casually do things like kissing people, Shijui said in a low voice. "Why?" Little Lingyue's eyes widened. But every time she kissed her parents, they were very happy. "How do you want me to explain this?" "Anyway, in the future, other than your parents and me, you can't kiss anyone else. That's it." After saying this domineeringly, Shijui blushed again. Although he couldn't see clearly what his little savior looked like, in Shijui's heart, he had already subconsciously regarded her as his personal belonging. "Oh, I understand." Little Lingyue didn't really understand. In the next few days, little Lingyue took care of Shijui. Unknowingly, the two of them became very good playmates. At the same time, the battle on the God's Fall Plains was coming to an end. Yi Baiming killed Shi Sanqian. After a fierce battle, Yun Sheng and Ming Ri killed the high priest and rescued Bobo from the forbidden area of the Shi clan. To prevent the Shi clan from rising from the ashes, Ming Ri and Yi Baiming worked together to banish the Shi clan to the extreme north, never allowing them to return to the realm of the gods. But after they did all this, Supreme God Four Directions brought a group of divine soldiers and divine generals to the God's Fall Plains. Yi Baiming, Ming Ri, the two of you have really caused a huge disaster this time. Especially you, Yi Baiming. You are just a demigod, but you have caused so much bloodshed in the realm of the gods. I am under the orders of Emperor Huyin to bring you to the Heavenly Court Temple for interrogation, Supreme God Four Directions said sternly. Supreme God Four Directions, Yi Baiming and I are husband and wife. We share weal and woe. I am willing to be interrogated with him. Yunsheng didn't want Yi Baiming to be interrogated alone, so she insisted on going to the Heavenly Court Temple with him. Mother Goddess, this is all because of Bobo. You can't blame the Qilin boy and master. If you want to punish someone, punish Bobo alone. Bobo pleaded with Supreme God Four Directions, but this time, even Supreme God Four Directions couldn't help them. Bobo, Ming Ri, stop fooling around. The four great God Emperors have their own conclusions. Don't worry, Mother Goddess will do her best to protect them. After receiving Supreme God Four Directions' promise, Bobo and Ming Ri relaxed a little. They had no choice but to part ways with Yin Sheng and the others for the time being. Supreme God Four Directions, my daughter is still in the God's Fall Plains. She is very young. I beg you to let me find her before going to the trial. Yin Sheng and Yi Baiming were still worried about their daughter's safety. Supreme God Four Directions agreed. Yin Sheng and Yi Baiming contacted Ji Rumo and found the God Clan village. Daddy, Mommy. When little Lingyu saw her parents, she flew towards them like a little bird. Lingyu, let Mommy take a good look. Yinsheng already knew what happened from Ji Rumo. However, in order to not worry Yunsheng, Ji Rumo hid the fact that Shi Jui might be from the Shi clan. A smile appeared on Yi Beiji's face when he saw that his daughter was fine. Daddy, Mommy, Lingyu wants to... Little Lingyu looked at the familiar house in the village reluctantly. She hadn't had time to say goodbye to little big brother Jui. The four God Emperors are waiting for you. You can't delay any longer. Under Supreme God Four Directions' urging, the family of three left the God Clan village and headed towards the Heavenly Court Temple. Little Lingyu took one last look at the village and said in her heart, Little big brother, you must recover quickly. I hope that the next time we meet, you will still remember me. Before Yi Lingwa left, she was still worried about little Jui. She gave a villager in the ancient village some money and asked the villager's daughter to take care of Shi Jui in her place. In the village, Shi Jui gradually recovered after little Ling used treatment. After a few days, he was finally able to open his eyes. "You're awake?" A girl from the ancient village stood in front of him. Chapter 1427. Bo Bo was conferred the title of World God, and Ming Ri was released. The God world regained its peace temporarily. However, Yun Sheng and her family of 3 were detained in the God world's prison. "Ming Ri, we can't leave Master and the rest behind." Bo Bo was worried about Yi Baiming and Yun Sheng who were detained. She went to look for Supreme God Four-Way several times, but she was persuaded to leave by Ming Ri. "Bo Bo, you have to believe in Mother God. She will definitely do her best to help Yun Sheng and the rest." Ming Ri and Bo Bo were anxiously waiting for news of Yun Sheng and the rest's safety. Supreme God Four-Way, who was caught in the middle, was extremely depressed. Of the 2 couples in front of her, one was her favorite disciple, and the other was an expert from the mortal realm who she had personally witnessed becoming a god. This time, their actions had caused a huge commotion in the god realm, and had already attracted the attention of the 4 great god emperors. Although Shi tribe's patriarch, Shi Sanqian, was at fault, Ming Ri and Yi Baiming were also at fault for slaughtering hundreds of thousands of Shi tribe members. The god emperors must have received a lot of accusations. As for Ming Ri and Yi Baiming's fate, it would depend on the outcome of the meeting between the god emperors. In the vast god world's heavenly court, there were 4 god emperor thrones in the void. A burst of divine light shone, and the 4 god emperors in charge of the god world personally came to the heavenly court. On the god thrones, there were 4 god emperor imprints of fire, wind, water, and earth. The 4 god emperors were 3 men and 1 woman. The one on the red throne was Emperor Huayan. The one on the blue throne was Ice Field Empress. The one on the green throne was Emperor Fenggu, and the one on the yellow throne was Emperor Changsheng. Huayan, the matter of Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming cannot be tolerated. The first to speak was Emperor Fenggu. Everyone knew that the Shi tribe was originally a god tribe under Emperor Fenggu. His request to punish Yun Sheng and her husband was obviously selfish. Wind Monarch, in this emperor's opinion, although Yi Baiming's actions are somewhat extreme, it is also because Shi Sanqian was at fault. If he hadn't captured the mortal world's universe god, Yi Baiming, an underworld god, wouldn't have started a massacre, Emperor Huayan said unhappily. Emperor Fenggu was the most narrow-minded and only knew how to cover for others. Emperor Yin Huang is right this time. Wind Monarch, in the god realm, if a god emperor breaks the law, he is as guilty as a master god. Don't think that others don't know what Shi Sanqian has done in the human realm all these years. A few of my divine masters have already submitted petitions to impeach him. Monarch Changsheng was the most impartial of the 4 monarchs. With a wave of his hand, a thick stack of memorials appeared in his hand, which he tossed to Monarch Fenggu. Wind Monarch, this emperor has also heard about what Changsheng and Emperor Huayan said. The Shi tribe's clan leader set up a shrine in the human realm for his own selfish reasons, and even used the children and girls of the human realm to do some shady business, Ice Plains Empress added. Monarch Fenggu looked embarrassed after reading the memorials. He didn't know that Shi Sanqian had caused so much trouble in the human realm. Even so, even if Shi Sanqian did do something wrong, it was instigated by others. Yi Baiming, an underworld god, exiled the Shi tribe to the extreme north and killed 100,000 Shi tribe soldiers. This can't be wrong. Casualties are inevitable in the battlefield. Back then, Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming were separated several times to save the 8 barons and the Wuji continent from a catastrophe. The number of people they saved was more than 100,000, Emperor Huayan said with conviction. Huayan, aren't you saying this because that little girl is your descendant and you want to protect her? If you don't punish the couple, it will be difficult to convince the public. Monarch Fenggu also knew that Yun Sheng was a direct descendant of Emperor Huayan. Emperors, please calm down. How about this? Let me make a judgment. Shi Sanqian sneaked an attack on a universe god and made a big mistake. The Shi tribe was exiled because of his evil deeds. This is also a kind of experience for the Shi tribe. As for Yunsheng and Yi Baiming, they should be rewarded and punished for their crimes. Monarch Changsheng said, and Ice Plains Empress nodded. Monarch Huiyin and Monarch Feng, Gu's expression softened. In the heavenly court, Yunsheng, Yi Baiming, and Little Ling, you were still waiting for the results of the meeting of the four emperors. Daddy, Mommy, Ling Yu is a little scared. Looking at the solemn faces of the divine soldiers and divine generals, Little Ling Yu nervously grabbed her mother and father's hands. Ling Yu, Daddy and Mommy are here. You don't have to be scared. Yin Sheng and Yi Baiming looked at each other tacitly. In each other's eyes, there was only encouragement and magnanimity. The two of them had experienced so much together. Whether it was the war in the Eight Desolates' boundless continent or the war of the Shi tribe, they had never backed down. Yi Baiming, Yin Sheng, hear the decree. Supreme God Four Directions appeared in front of the family of three. The husband and wife knelt together, and Little Ling Yu followed suit. Yi Baiming, as a demigod, you ignored the decree of the gods and killed 10,000 divine soldiers of the Shi tribe. You exiled millions of Shi tribe members. Your crimes are extremely heinous. According to the laws of the gods, you should be imprisoned in the ancient heavenly prison for 10,000 years. However, the god emperors have shown mercy. On account of Madame Ye's pregnancy, the husband and wife practiced medicine for several years and saved countless lives in the mortal world. Yi Baiming will be pardoned from his 10,000 years in the heavenly prison. Yi Baiming will be conferred the title of Supreme God of the Eight Barons. He will be in charge of the Eight Barons' domain. Yun Sheng will be conferred the title of Medicine Buddha. She will travel to the Eight Barons with her husband. After the Supreme God of the Four Directions finished reading the decree, the couple thanked him and accepted it. Supreme God Four Directions, what is this decree? Yin Sheng was confused. The decree clearly said that Yi Baiming was guilty. So why was the couple conferred the title of Supreme God and the title of Medicine Buddha? This is the God Emperor's gratitude for what the two of you have done for the mortal world. They have pardoned Yi Baiming for prison. However, the two of you must not let your guard down. The Eight Desolates' divine realm mentioned in the decree is not a good place. It is the most desolate realm in the God realm. Gods and demons coexist there, and it is extremely dangerous. The Eight Desolates' divine realm has already changed more than 20 supreme gods. Every supreme god has either died or been injured. According to the decree, the two of you are to head to the Eight Desolates' divine realm. This was all that Supreme God Four Directions could do for the couple. A magic array appeared beside her. That magic array led to the Eight Desolates' divine realm. That's right. I see that your daughter's fate is extraordinary. Listen to this Supreme God. Before she turns 18, don't let her leave the Eight Desolates' divine realm. Otherwise, she will definitely encounter the tribulation of reincarnation, Supreme God Four Directions suddenly said as he looked at Little Lingwei. Thank you for your reminder. We will bid farewell here. Yi Baiming and Yun Sheng thanked Supreme God Four Directions and walked into the magic array with Little Lingwei. The magic array flashed, and the family of three disappeared. Father, Mother, where are we going? Little Ling Yu asked nervously as she grabbed her parents' hands. Lingwei, we are going to a brand new God realm. That will be our home in the future. Father and Mother will bring you and the two little brothers who are about to be born. Together, we will build a new home that belongs to us. Yi Baiming carried Little Lingwei and hugged his beloved wife, Yun Sheng. He felt a sense of satisfaction that he had never felt before. In front of them, a barren and brand new continent awaited them. However, the couple did not feel a trace of uneasiness. In their hearts, there was only hope. This was because they knew that no matter if it was the human realm, the God realm, or the underworld, as long as a family was together, it would be their home. The story of the family of three and the twins was occasionally touched upon in the later chapters. Many people asked why Little Lingwei had become Yi Lingwei in the new book. This was a new story. There was no need to feel sad, because little Ling Yue would find someone who loved her dearly. The story of a night fox and the wildcat was complete. The following chapters were the other side characters. Chapter 1428. When Dongwang Linger brought Gufeng back, he was already very old. He was so old that when they appeared in front of the officials of the East Royal Dynasty, none of the officials were willing to accept this imperial husband who was old enough to be the Empress' grandfather. Even though they knew that this old man with wrinkled skin and white hair and a crooked waist, in order to protect the entire boundless world, he burned a large amount of his life force and forged the Duqian blood seal, which caused him to age prematurely. His achievements were worthy of praise from the entire boundless world. However, this didn't change the fact that the officials were unwilling to accept Gufeng. But Empress, you're the only bloodline of the East Royal Dynasty. If you are together with Lord Gufeng, the East Royal Dynasty will have no successor. Dongwang Linger understood all of this. However, she still insisted that only Gufeng could be her imperial husband. Gufeng silently looked at all of this and listened to it in his heart. When night came, Linger, you should listen to the official suggestion and choose another imperial husband. I won't mind. Gufeng stared at the woman in front of him. Dongwang Linger was only in her 20s. She was beautiful in the first place, and after becoming the Empress, she naturally had a natural beauty. Gufeng was very grateful that Dongwang Linger was still willing to accept him. Dongwang Linger remained silent. She only took over the basin of water from the palace maid and personally wiped Gufeng's face and body. Gufeng, do you still remember what you said to me when I was struck by Madame Chi Bai's soul snake? While wiping, she said softly. Gufeng was already very old. However, there were some things that were deeply engraved in his heart. Even if he were to die, he wouldn't forget it. Naturally, he remembered what he had said himself. In fact, Gufeng remembered every word that he said to Dongwang Linger. Every word that he said to Dongwang Linger was unique. He wouldn't say it to anyone else a second time. He said that if Dongwang Linger couldn't recover, he would take care of her for the rest of her life. But now everything had changed. Dongwang Ling had to take care of him for her entire life. She was still in the prime of her youth. How could he bear to let her be a widow for her entire life? Let me answer you. No matter what you become, I am willing to accompany you. Dongwang Linger's words did not move Gufeng. Instead, they angered him. However, I am not willing. I am not willing to be your imperial husband. I'm also not willing to be judged by others and become a sinner of the Dongwang dynasty. Gufeng swept the water basin onto the ground. This was the first time in his life that he was angry at Dongwang Linger. The water splashed all over the ground. Dongwang Linger silently squatted down. Empress, those palace maids were so scared that they hurriedly went to support Dongwang Linger. Gufeng, I understand your concerns. Give me some time. I will definitely think of a way, Dongwang Linger said faintly. Gufeng sighed. He hardened his heart and no longer paid attention to Dongwang Ling. Dongwang Ling thought that Gufeng would slowly come to his senses. But who would have thought that from the second day onwards, Gufeng started not eating anything. He didn't even drink the medicine that she personally brewed. Seeing Gufeng aging day by day, Dongwang Ling helplessly turned to her good friend Yinsheng for help. Linger, you are still not willing to listen to my opinion. You came to the 8 desolate divine realm to help me, a night fox. Yinsheng looked at Dongwang Ling's haggard appearance and felt very anxious. However, she also understood that Gufeng was doing this because he loved Dongwang Ling too much. The two of them clearly love each other. Yet, they were unable to be together. How could this not be a type of torture? After she and Yi Biming took care of the 8 desolate divine realm, she had also invited Ling and Gufeng to live in the divine realm together. Ling used the reason that Gufeng's body was unable to travel long distances and that she was worried about the Dongwang dynasty as an excuse to reject Yun Sheng's good intentions. My answer is still the same. As the Empress of the Dongwang dynasty, I will always stay in the eastern capital. Yun Sheng, The reason why I called you here today is to ask if there is any way to let Goofing live for a few more years. Linger knew that the reason why Goofing didn't eat anything was to force her to compromise. However, this time, she wasn't going to compromise. In the past, for the sake of the Dongwang dynasty, she let Goofing stay in the Duqian blood imprint alone for many years. This time, she wasn't going to leave him alone. You really want to know? I'm afraid I'll have to trouble the underworld god for this matter. Yun Sheng was in a difficult position. Although she had already become a god and possessed heaven-defying medical skills, she was helpless for her friend Goofing, who was already very old. Why is it you again? When Ming Ri saw Yun Sheng, he felt a headache coming. Every time this woman appeared, nothing good would happen. Underworld god, I'm the one who asked Yun Sheng to find you. I want to know if there's any way to let Goofing live for a few more years. Dongwang Linger also knew that her request was very difficult for Gufeng. However, this was the only way she could make Gufeng stay. Life and death are predestined, and lifespan is determined by the heavens. Even as the underworld god, I'm helpless. Ming Ri shook his head. Who says it's not possible? On a certain continent in a mortal realm, there's a spring called the life-changing spring. It might be able to help you. Bobo jumped out. Bobo, don't mess around. Your actions are equivalent to disrupting the order of the mortal realm and the netherworld. When Ming Ri saw Bobo, he knew that something was going to happen again. Bobo, please tell me, what is the life-changing spring? Can it help me in Goofing? When Dongwang Ling heard that there was still hope, her eyes lit up again. Yeah, actually, I've only heard that after drinking the life-changing spring, you can exchange a part of your lifespan with others. However, the number of years you exchange will be the number of years you age overnight. Bobo looked at the young and beautiful Dongwang Ling, and said uneasily, any woman would want to stay young forever. Dongwang Ling, was no exception. Linger, I can't. I can think of concocting some medicinal pills to help Goofing. When Yun Sheng heard Bobo's words, she objected. Yun Sheng, you said it yourself. Goofing's body can't even withstand ordinary medicinal pills. Bobo, please bring me to look for the life-changing spring. Dongwang Ling's gaze was firm as she made her decision without hesitation. Dongwang Ling, the greatest empress in the history of Dongwang dynasty, her life was a legend. Her friendship with her good friend, the medical Buddha Yun Sheng, had always been seen as a legend in the boundless continent. However, the most legendary story in her life was the story between her and her imperial husband, Goofing. According to the legends, she and Goofing met in a chaotic era. At that time, she was the princess of a declining dynasty, and he was a trash magician who came from a mountain village. Because of their identities and misunderstandings, the two of them had separated several times. However, in the end, the two of them still walked together. However, at that time, her imperial husband, Goofing's body was already very weak. Even the medical Buddha Yun Sheng at that time said that her imperial husband might not live for more than a year. However, even if that was the case, Dongwang Empress still rejected the opinions of everyone and got married to Goofing. On the second day after the Dongwang Empress got married, the Dongwang Empress became old overnight. Some people said that she did it because of her imperial husband, Goofing's illness, and some people said that she did it because of the busy imperial court. However, no matter how many rumors and public opinions were spread outside, the Dongwang Empress and her imperial husband were very loving. The Dongwang Empress ascended the throne when she was 17 years old and passed away when she was 47 years old. On the same night after she passed away, her imperial husband, Gufeng, also passed away beside the Dongwang Empress. Even when the two of them died, their hands were still tightly held together. The two of them didn't have any children. In the end, the Dongwang dynasty was inherited by the medical Buddha Yun Sheng's third son, Yilingwang. There's a kind of happiness called holding your hand and growing old together with you. There's also a kind of happiness called, for you, I am willing to grow gray hair early and grow old overnight. That was the love legend that belonged to Dongwang Ling and Gufeng. Chapter 1429. To the young magicians on the continent. There were two sacred places in their hearts. One was the temple, and the other was the continent's magic elite camp. Of these two places, the temple had once produced the #1 light magician, Jirumo. The continent's magic elite camp had once produced the legendary magician, Yun Sheng, who was proficient in magic and medicine. Therefore, in the hearts of all the young magicians, these two places were the palaces of magic. However, compared to the temple that was built in the cities of various large countries, the continent's magic elite camp, which was the other sacred place for magicians, was much more mysterious. Every year, in the boundless continent, only a very small number of young magicians would receive a notice from the continent's magic elite camp. Note that even if you were lucky enough to receive a notice, it didn't mean that you had already become a member of the continent's magic elite camp. Only those who passed the test could finally become a member of the continent's magic elite camp. Every autumn was the busiest time for the continent's magic elite camp. This was because it was the time for new students to enter the camp. There would always be all kinds of young magicians who had all kinds of fantasies about the continent's magic elite camp. Look, that senior brother is so handsome. A few young female magicians who had just arrived at the continent's magic elite camp saw a male magician walking in front of them. He wore a green magician's robe and held a snake-shaped magic scepter in his hand. His entire person seemed to have walked out of a painting. I don't know his name, but he must be on the primrose list. A few young female magicians chattered away. One of the braver ones even ran up to stop that green-clothed magician. "Senior brother, I am the new water magician this year, and I. Can I be your—" Before that female magician could finish her words, the green-clothed magician glanced at her. A terrifying scene happened. The female magician was instantly petrified from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet. The faces of those new female magicians turned pale, not knowing what had happened. When the continent's magic elite camp's great elder sister Lon rushed over, she hurriedly comforted these new female magicians. "Don't worry, this is just a joke from Elder Abandoned to the magic camp. This is the most basic petrification magic. It can only last for 1 hour before it will automatically lose its effect," Sister Lon comforted them while cursing in her mind. That damned Abandoned, he still had his old temper. Every year, there would always be a few infatuated female magicians who would be affected by the petrification magic. Because of this, the parents of these new students had complained about the Continental Magic Elite Camp. Only then did the new female magicians know that the young male magician was actually an elder of the continent's Magic Elite Camp. Legend had it that he was the only abandoned elder on the continent who practiced poison magic. Previously, there was a rumor that the Great Elder Blue and the second elder of the Mage Elite Camp were a couple. From the looks of it now, that was definitely the biggest mistake. She was already used to Blue's scolding. To Chi, in this world, there were only 3 people who could treat him as equals. They were his friends, Yin Sheng, Gufeng, and Dongwang Ling. After the 3 of them left the Continental Magic Elite Camp one after another, Chi became even quieter. The only thing that accompanied him every day was his little green snake. "Abandoned, come out." Outside the house, Sister Lon rushed in angrily. Abandoned had an expressionless face as he was experimenting with a new poison magic. When Senior Sister Lon saw the ball of poisonous magic mist in Abandoned's hand, even the fearless Senior Sister Lon couldn't help but shudder. "Sister Lon, what's the matter?" Abandoned still had an expressionless face. "2 things. Firstly, you're not allowed to use petrification magic on new students next time. Another person was scared by you and dropped out of school. Secondly, Yinsheng sent you a letter." Sister Lon paid attention to Abandoned's expression. When Sister Lon mentioned the first thing, Abandoned continued to have an expressionless face. However, when Sister Lon mentioned Yinsheng's name, Abandoned was slightly moved. Sure enough, in this world, only Yinsheng could make this guy who was even more stony than a rock have a reaction. After leaving the letter, Sister Lan ran out of Abandon's house with goosebumps all over her body. Opening the letter, the familiar handwriting on the letter made Abandon's expression change slightly. Little Qing curled up her body and lay beside his hand. Little Qing, Yun Sheng invited me to Taiyuan Mountain. Hu Sheng's mother and curator Zhenli are getting married. She hopes that I can attend the wedding banquet. Abandoned very naturally read the letter to Little Qing. After Hu Rulin arrived at Taiyuan Mountain, she had been living with Hu Jiuxing and his wife. One time, Wu Xian Wuji School's curator Zhenli came to Taiyuan Mountain and fell in love with Hu Rulin at first sight. At first, Hu Rulin was unwilling because she felt that she was not worthy of curator Zhenli because she was married and had a child. However, curator Zhenli was not discouraged. After a long chase, curator Zhenli finally moved Hu Rulin's heart. Curator Zhenli had just proposed a few days ago. Since it's curator Zhenli's wedding banquet, I should attend. Abandoned said again. Little Qing flicked her tongue at Abandoned and made a hissing sound. Actually, Abandoned knew that Little Qing did not understand Abandoned's words at all. When Abandoned arrived at Taiyuan Mountain, Yun Sheng was already waiting for him outside Taiyuan Castle. At that time, Yun Sheng was pregnant. Although her body shape did not change, she looked very happy accompanied by Yi Baiming. Abandoned, you're finally willing to come out of the elite camp. I almost thought that you were going to be like Master Shi Huang and become a little poisonous creature, hiding in the elite camp for the rest of your life. Similarly, the people who were waiting for Abandoned were his and Yun Sheng's mutual friends, Ling, and Gufeng. That brat Gufeng was also someone that Abandoned envied the most. Back then, Gufeng also had a crush on Dongwang Ling, just like how he had a crush on Yun Sheng. However, in the end, Gufeng had relied on his own efforts to pursue Ling. Although there were some twists and turns, the two of them finally got together under the effect of a life-changing spring. Although the two of them were no longer youthful, they were still very loving. However, Abandoned could only watch as Yun Sheng and Yi Baiming got together in the end. This was Abandoned's biggest regret in his life. Abandoned, you haven't met Madame Rulin yet, right? She has always wanted to meet you. Yun Sheng walked forward and brought Abandoned to meet Madame Rulin. Madame Rulin had always wanted to meet Abandoned ever since she found out that he was the only person her daughter had ever liked. When he heard that he wanted to meet Madame Rulin, Abandoned was a little hesitant because in his heart, he always felt that his rejection of Hu Sheng back then was the main culprit behind Hu Sheng's death. However, he still decided to meet Hu Rulin in the end. You're Abandoned? You're indeed an outstanding child. No wonder Hu Sheng took a fancy to you back then. When Hu Rulin saw Abandoned, she did not have any intention of reprimanding him. Instead, she looked at Abandoned with the gaze of a mother-in-law looking at her son-in-law. In addition, the curator of combat strength was standing beside her, which made Abandoned feel very awkward. Seeing Abandoned's uneasiness, the curator of combat strength laughed out loud. Madam, you and Yun Sheng haven't seen each other in a long time. You two can chat first. I'll talk to Green about the upcoming exchange between magicians and warriors between the mainland's magic elite camp and Wushuan Everlasting School. With that, he pulled Abandoned out of the room. After Abandoned left, Madame Hu Rulin and Yun Sheng looked at each other. He's gone. Hu Sheng, you can come out now, Yun Sheng said as she took out a beast language ring and released a wisp of spirit from it. If others were to see that strand of soul, they would definitely be shocked. That was because that strand of soul had an appearance that was 99% similar to Yun Sheng. Hu Sheng was actually not dead. In fact, Hu Sheng was indeed dead. However, Yun Sheng had found her spirit and brought it back. Back then, when Madame Rulin arrived at the boundless mainland, although she got along very well with Hu Jiuxing's family, every time she saw Yun Sheng and Hu Jiuxing together, she would force a smile and hide in a place where others could not see, secretly feeling sad. Hu Jiuxing and she were twins. Hu Jiuxing also saw Hu Rulin's sadness. Therefore, Hu Jiuxing suggested that Yun Sheng help find Hu Sheng's spirit. Yun Sheng thought about it. In order not to upset Madame Rulin, she could only find Ming Ri again. At first, Ming-Ri did not agree. After all, he was the world god of the underworld. Back then, Li Qingqing's incident was already a surprise to Ming-Ri. If there was another Hu Sheng, there would be no order in the underworld. However, once Yinsheng mentioned Bo, Ming-Ri had no choice but to compromise. However, he had a condition. He would not take the initiative to hand over Hu Sheng's spirit. If Yinsheng wanted to find Hu Sheng, she had to search in the underworld herself. The underworld was so big that it was even bigger than the mortal realm. It was very difficult to find a spirit. Ming-Ri originally thought that Yinsheng would retreat in the face of difficulties. However, he did not expect Yinsheng to actually find Hu Sheng. The specific reason was because of the beast language ring in Hu Rulin's hand. That beast language ring was used by Hu Sheng in the past. Relying on the remnant aura in the beast language ring, Yinsheng finally found Hu Sheng in the ninefold ghost prison and brought her back. Although she brought her back, she could only be temporarily stored in the beast language ring in the form of spirit. It was not good for Hu Sheng if she stayed for too long. At this time, Hu Sheng took the initiative to propose an idea that shocked everyone. She hoped that she could stay by Qi's side. Mother is now accompanied by Uncle Jean. Yinsheng, you also have your own family. I can't always stay by your side. I want to stay by Qi's side. When Hu Sheng first proposed this idea, Hu Rulin was not willing to. However, after Yinsheng and Hu Sheng's persuasion, Hu Rulin finally relented and agreed to meet Qi. This was the reason for this meeting. After seeing Qi in person, Madame Rulin finally believed in her daughter's foresight. But Sheng, how are you going to stay by Qi's side? Are you going to continue existing as a spirit? Hu Rulin sighed. Madame Rulin, you don't have to worry about this. I already have a complete plan. As Yinsheng spoke, a small green snake appeared in her hand. Xiaoqing looked at Yinsheng in confusion. Just now, when Qi and the director of combat strength went out, Yinsheng used the excuse that she wanted to repair Qi's magic scepter to make Xiaoqing and the magic scepter stay behind. You mean to let Sheng attach herself to this snake? Hu Rulin was a little reluctant. Mother, I'm willing to do that. As long as I can silently accompany Qi, I'm willing to be a snake for the rest of my life. Hu Sheng revealed a joyful smile. Hu Rulin's eyes warmed. This was one of the few times she had seen her daughter smile in all these years. This child was so silly. Hu Sheng's spirit entered Xiaoqing's body. When Qi returned, Yinsheng casually handed the magic scepter to Qi. After the wedding banquet, Qi prepared to leave Taiyuan Mountain. Xiaoqing, if Hu Sheng's spirit could see Madame Rulin's wedding, she would be very happy. The director of combat strength is a good person. Qi sighed. Hiss, hiss. Xiaoqing flicked her tongue. This time, she said yes. I will. Being with you is the greatest happiness in my life. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.